manager Pep Guardiola said, "Niggles, he felt uncomfortable. The reason why, many games. I didn't speak with the doctors. He felt something, fatigue. We have a lot of games and we have Omar Mamouche. A common sense, right?" Elsewhere in the Premier League on Wednesday, Aston Villa managed to snatch a late 1-0 victory at home against Brighton after Jack Hinchelwood's own goal in the 86th minute. Crystal Palace, well, they suffered a damaging defeat as they lost 3-2 at home to Burnley. Jurgen Strand-Larsen, their deadline day signing from Wolves, he grabbed a brace in the first half. However, the Clarets managed to score 3 goals without reply as they picked up a rare victory. And at the Stadium of Light, Liverpool managed to squeeze past Sunderland by 1-0. The Black Cats were the only team yet to be defeated at home in the league this season, but that record has now gone due to Van Dijk's 61st minute winner. Moving on to Winter Olympics news now, and Lila Fear said she could not believe the costly and devastating error that she made, which meant she and partner Lewis Gibson missed out on the ice dance medals at the Winter Olympics. Fear and Gibson finished 7th overall, meaning they failed to reach their goal of being the first British figure skaters in 32 years to win an Olympic medal. Fear, well, she tripped on the second element of their free dance routine, and despite skating cleanly for the remainder, it proved too much of an obstacle to overcome. It means the wait goes on for British skating since Dame Jane Torvill and Sir Christopher Dean won bronze at the Lillehammer Games in 1994. It also continues Team GB's disappointing game so far, with no medals won yet. And finally, finishing in cricket, and England captain Harry Brooks said his batters were too careful in their 30-run defeat by the West Indies at the T20 World Cup. England reached 74 for 1 in pursuit of 197, but then lost 6 wickets in succession to spin in the middle overs and were bowled out for 166 in 19 overs. Brooke, who was out-caught and bowled for 17, was one of 3 batters dismissed by spinner Gurukesh Motti. Speaking on this though, Brooke said, "I'd much rather get caught on the boundary than the way I did today. That's part of T20 cricket. He was the main threat at that time, so I was just trying to knock it into the leg side and get Sam Curran back on strike." England have a chance to hit back when they face Scotland on Saturday before their final Group C match against Italy on Monday, with both games taking place in Kolkata. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in football, and Nottingham Forest have sacked manager Sean Dyche after just 114 days in charge. Forest, well, they were held to a goalless draw at home by rock-bottom Wolves on Wednesday, leaving them 3 points above the relegation zone with 12 games remaining. Clearly unhappy with the form under Dyche, the Forest board have now taken the decision to sack the former Everton boss. It is believed that Forest are in talks with former Wolves boss Vitor Pereira about taking charge until the end of the season. Sticking in football, and Manchester City have cut the gap to Premier League leaders Arsenal to 3 points after a convincing 3-0 victory at home against Fulham on Wednesday evening. Antoine Semenyo, Nico O'Reilly and Erling Haaland were all on the scoresheet for the Citizens. There was one worrying moment in the game though for City as Haaland was taken off at the break. Speaking though about the situation, manager Pep Guardiola said, "Niggles, he felt uncomfortable. The reason why, many games. I didn't speak with the doctors. He felt something, fatigue. We have a lot of games and we have Omar Mamouche. A common sense, right?" Elsewhere in the Premier League on Wednesday, Aston Villa managed to snatch a late 1-0 victory at home against Brighton after Jack Hinchelwood's own goal in the 86th minute. Crystal Palace, well, they suffered a damaging defeat as they lost 3-2 at home to Burnley. Jurgen Strand-Larsen, their deadline day signing from Wolves, he grabbed a brace in the first half. However, the Clarets managed to score 3 goals without reply as they picked up a rare victory. And at the Stadium of Light, Liverpool managed to squeeze past Sunderland by 1-0. The Black Cats were the only team yet to be defeated at home in the league this season, but that record has now gone due to Van Dijk's 61st minute winner. Moving on to Winter Olympics news now, and Lila Fear said she could not believe the costly and devastating error that she made, which meant she and partner Lewis Gibson missed out on the ice dance medals at the Winter Olympics. Fear and Gibson finished 7th overall, meaning they failed to reach their goal of being the first British figure skaters in 32 years to win an Olympic medal. Fear, well, she tripped on the second element of their free dance routine, and despite skating cleanly for the remainder, it proved too much of an obstacle to overcome. It means the wait goes on for British skating since Dame Jane Torvill and Sir Christopher Dean won bronze at the Lillehammer Games in 1994. It also continues Team GB's disappointing game so far, with no medals won yet. And finally, finishing in cricket, and England captain Harry Brooks said his batters were too careful in their 30-run defeat by the West Indies at the T20 World Cup. England reached 74 for 1 in pursuit of 197, but then lost 6 wickets in succession to spin in the middle overs and were bowled out for 166 in 19 overs. Brooke, who was out caught and bowled for 17, was one of 3 batters dismissed by spinner Gudakesh Motti. Speaking on this though, Brooke said, "I'd much rather get caught on the boundary than the way I did today. That's part of T20 cricket. He was the main threat at that time, so I was just trying to knock it into the leg side and get Sam Curran back on strike." England have a chance to hit back when they face Scotland on Saturday before their final Group C match against Italy on Monday, with both games taking place in Kolkata. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in football, and Nottingham Forest have sacked manager Sean Dyche after just 114 days in charge. Forest, well, they were held to a goalless draw at home by rock-bottom Wolves on Wednesday, leaving them 3 points above the relegation zone with 12 games remaining. Clearly unhappy with the form under Dyche, the Forest board have now taken the decision to sack the former Everton boss. It is believed that Forest are in talks with former Wolves boss Vitor Pereira about taking charge until the end of the season. Sticking in football, and Manchester City have cut the gap to Premier League leaders Arsenal to 3 points after a convincing 3-0 victory at home against Fulham on Wednesday evening. Antoine Semenyo, Nico O'Reilly and Erling Haaland were all on the scoresheet for the citizens. There was one worrying moment in the game though for City, as Haaland was taken off at the break. Speaking though about the situation, manager Pep Guardiola said, "Niggles, he felt uncomfortable. The reason why, many games. I didn't speak with the doctors. He felt something, fatigue. We have a lot of games and we have Omar Mamouche, a common sense, right?" Elsewhere in the Premier League on Wednesday, and Aston Villa managed to snatch a late 1-0 victory at home against Brighton after Jack Hinchelwood's own goal in the 86th minute. Crystal Palace, well, they suffered a damaging defeat as they lost 3-2 at home to Burnley. Jurgen Strand-Larsen, their deadline day signing from Wolves, he grabbed a brace in the first half. However, the Clarets managed to score 3 goals without reply as they picked up a rare victory. And at the Stadium of Light, Liverpool managed to squeeze past Sunderland by 1-0. The Black Cats were the only team yet to be defeated at home in the league this season, but that record has now gone due to Van Dijk's 61st minute winner. Moving on to Winter Olympics news now, and Lila Fear said she could not believe the costly and devastating error that she made, which meant she and partner Lewis Gibson missed out on the ice dance medals at the Winter Olympics. Fear and Gibson finished 7th overall, meaning they failed to reach their goal of being the first British figure skaters in 32 years to win an Olympic medal. Fear, well, she tripped on the second element of their free dance routine, and despite skating cleanly for the remainder, it proved too much of an obstacle to overcome. It means the wait goes on for British skating since Dame Jane Torville and Sir Christopher Dean won bronze at the Lillehammer Games in 1994. It also continues Team GB's disappointing game so far, with no medals won yet. And finally, finishing in cricket, and England captain Harry Brooks said his batters were too careful in their 30-run defeat by the West Indies at the T20 World Cup. England reached 74 for 1 in pursuit of 197, but then lost 6 wickets in succession to spin in the middle overs and were bowled out for 166 in 19 overs. Brooke, who was out caught and bowled for 17, was one of 3 batters dismissed by spinner Gudakesh Motti. Speaking on this though, Brooks said, "I'd much rather get caught on the boundary than the way I did today. That's part of T20 cricket. He was the main threat at that time, so I was just trying to knock it into the leg side and get Sam Curran back on strike." England have a chance to hit back when they face Scotland on Saturday before their final Group C match against Italy on Monday, with both games taking place in Kolkata. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in football, and Nottingham Forest have sacked manager Sean Dyche after just 114 days in charge. Forest, well, they were held to a goalless draw at home by rock-bottom Wolves on Wednesday, leaving them 3 points above the relegation zone with 12 games remaining. Clearly unhappy with the form under Dyche, the Forest board have now taken the decision to sack the former Everton boss. It is believed that Forest are in talks with former Wolves boss Vitor Pereira about taking charge until the end of the season. Sticking in football, and Manchester City have cut the gap to Premier League leaders Arsenal to 3 points after a convincing 3-0 victory at home against Fulham on Wednesday evening. Antoine Semenyo, Nico O'Reilly and Erling Haaland were all on the scoresheet for the citizens. There was one worrying moment in the game though for City, as Haaland was taken off at the break. Speaking though about the situation, manager Pep Guardiola said, "Niggles, he felt uncomfortable. The reason why, many games. I didn't speak with the doctors. He felt something, fatigue. We have a lot of games and we have Omar Mamouche, a common sense, right? Elsewhere in the Premier League on Wednesday, and Aston Villa managed to snatch a late 1-0 victory at home against Brighton after Jack Hinchelwood's own goal in the 86th minute. Crystal Palace, well, they suffered a damaging defeat as they lost 3-2 at home to Burnley. Jurgen Strand-Larsen, their deadline day signing from Wolves, he grabbed a brace in the first half. However, the Clarets managed to score 3 goals without reply as they picked up a rare victory. And at the Stadium of Light, Liverpool managed to squeeze past Sunderland by 1-0. The Black Cats were the only team yet to be defeated at home in the league this season, but that record has now gone due to Van Dijk's 61st minute winner. Moving on to Winter Olympics news now, and Lila Fear said she could not believe the costly and devastating error that she made, which meant she and partner Lewis Gibson missed out on the ice dance medals at the Winter Olympics. Fear and Gibson finished 7th overall, meaning they failed to reach their goal of being the first British figure skaters in 32 years to win an Olympic medal. Fear, well, she tripped on the second element of their free dance routine, and despite skating cleanly for the remainder, it proved too much of an obstacle to overcome. It means the wait goes on for British skating since Dame Jane Torvill and Sir Christopher Dean won bronze at the Lillehammer Games in 1994. It also continues Team GB's disappointing games so far, with no medals won yet. And finally, finishing in cricket, and England captain Harry Brooks said his batters were too careful in their 30-run defeat by the West Indies at the T20 World Cup. England reached 74 for 1 in pursuit of 197, but then lost 6 wickets in succession to spin in the middle overs and were bowled out for 166 in 19 overs. Brooke, who was out-caught and bowled for 17, was one of 3 batters dismissed by spinner Gurukesh Motti. Speaking on this though, Brooks said, "I'd much rather get caught in the boundary than the way I did today. That's part of T20 cricket. He was the main threat at that time, so I was just trying to knock it into the leg side and get Sam Curran back on strike." England have a chance to hit back when they face Scotland on Saturday before their final Group C match against Italy on Monday, with both games taking place in Kolkata. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in football, and Nottingham Forest have sacked manager Sean Dyche after just 114 days in charge. Forest, well, they were held to a goalless draw at home by rock-bottom Wolves on Wednesday, leaving them 3 points above the relegation zone with 12 games remaining. Clearly unhappy with the form under Dyche, the Forest board have now taken the decision to sack the former Everton boss. It is believed that Forest are in talks with former Wolves boss Vitor Pereira about taking charge until the end of the season. Sticking in football, and Manchester City have cut the gap to Premier League leaders Arsenal to 3 points after a convincing 3-0 victory at home against Fulham on Wednesday evening. Antoine Semenyo, Nico O'Reilly and Erling Haaland were all on the scoresheet for the Citizens. There was one worrying moment in the game though for City, as Haaland was taken off at the break. Speaking though about the situation, manager Pep Guardiola said, "Niggles, he felt uncomfortable. The reason why, many games. I didn't speak with the doctors, he felt something, fatigue. We have a lot of games and we have Omar Mamouche, a common sense, right?" Elsewhere in the Premier League on Wednesday, and Aston Villa managed to snatch a late 1-0 victory at home against Brighton after Jack Hinchelwood's own goal in the 86th minute. Crystal Palace, well, they suffered a damaging defeat as they lost 3-2 at home to Burnley. Jurgen Strand-Larsen, their deadline day signing from Wolves, he grabbed a brace in the first half. However, the Clarets managed to score 3 goals without reply as they picked up a rare victory. And at the Stadium of Light, Liverpool managed to squeeze past Sunderland by 1-0. The Black Cats were the only team yet to be defeated at home in the league this season, but that record has now gone due to Van Dijk's 61st minute winner. Moving on to Winter Olympics news now, and Lila Fear said she could not believe the costly and devastating error that she made, which meant she and partner Lewis Gibson missed out on the ice dance medals at the Winter Olympics. Fear and Gibson finished 7th overall, meaning they failed to reach their goal of being the first British figure skaters in 32 years to win an Olympic medal. Fear, well, she tripped on the second element of their free dance routine, and despite skating cleanly for the remainder, it proved too much of an obstacle to overcome. It means the wait goes on for British skating since Dame Jane Torvill and Sir Christopher Dean won bronze at the Lillehammer Games in 1994. It also continues Team GB's disappointing games so far, with no medals won yet. And finally, finishing in cricket, and England captain Harry Brooks said his batters were too careful in their 30-run defeat by the West Indies at the T20 World Cup. England reached 74 for 1 in pursuit of 197, but then lost 6 wickets in succession to spin in the middle overs and were bowled out for 166 in 19 overs. Brooke, who was out caught and bowled for 17, was one of 3 batters dismissed by spinner Gurikesh Motti. Speaking on this though, Brooke said, "I'd much rather get caught on the boundary than the way I did today. That's part of T20 cricket. He was the main threat at that time, so I was just trying to knock it into the leg side and get Sam Curran back on strike." England have a chance to hit back when they face Scotland on Saturday before their final Group C match against Italy on Monday, with both games taking place in Kolkata. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in football, and Nottingham Forest have sacked manager Sean Dyche after just 114 days in charge. Forest, well, they were held to a goalless draw at home by rock-bottom Wolves on Wednesday, leaving them 3 points above the relegation zone with 12 games remaining. Clearly unhappy with the form under Dyche, the Forest board have now taken the decision to sack the former Everton boss. It is believed that Forest are in talks with former Wolves boss Vitor Pereira about taking charge until the end of the season. Sticking in football, and Manchester City have cut the gap to Premier League leaders Arsenal to 3 points after a convincing 3-0 victory at home against Fulham on Wednesday evening. Antoine Semenyo, Nico O'Reilly and Erling Haaland were all on the scoresheet for the Citizens. There was one worrying moment in the game though for City as Haaland was taken off at the break. Speaking though about the situation, manager Pep Guardiola said, "Niggles, he felt uncomfortable. The reason why, many games. I didn't speak with the doctors. He felt something, fatigue. We have a lot of games and we have Omar Mamouche, a common sense, right?" Elsewhere in the Premier League on Wednesday, and Aston Villa managed to snatch a late 1-0 victory at home against Brighton after Jack Hinchelwood's own goal in the 86th minute. Crystal Palace, well, they suffered a damaging defeat as they lost 3-2 at home to Burnley. Jurgen Strand Larsen, their deadline day signing from Wolves, he grabbed a brace in the first half. However, the Clarets managed to score 3 goals without reply as they picked up a rare victory. And at the Stadium of Light, Liverpool managed to squeeze past Sunderland by 1-0. The Black Cats were the only team yet to be defeated at home in the league this season, but that record has now gone due to Van Dijk's 61st minute winner. Moving on to Winter Olympics news now, and Lila Fear said she could not believe the costly and devastating error that she made, which meant she and partner Lewis Gibson missed out on the ice dance medals at the Winter Olympics. Fear and Gibson finished 7th overall, meaning they failed to reach their goal of being the first British figure skaters in 32 years to win an Olympic medal. Fear, well, she tripped on the second element of their free dance routine, and despite skating cleanly for the remainder, it proved too much of an obstacle to overcome. It means the wait goes on for British skating since Dame Jane Torville and Sir Christopher Dean won bronze at the Lillehammer Games in 1994. It also continues Team GB's disappointing game so far, with no medals won yet. And finally, finishing in cricket, and England captain Harry Brook said his batters were too careful in their 30-run defeat by the West Indies at the T20 World Cup. England reached 74 for 1 in pursuit of 197, but then lost 6 wickets in succession to spin in the middle overs and were bowled out for 166 in 19 overs. Brooke, who was out caught and bowled for 17, was one of 3 batters dismissed by spinner Gurikesh Motti. Speaking on this though, Brooke said, "I'd much rather get caught on the boundary than the way I did today. That's part of T20 cricket. He was the main threat at that time, so I was just trying to knock it into the leg side and get Sam Curran back on strike." England have a chance to hit back when they face Scotland on Saturday before their final Group C match against Italy on Monday, with both games taking place in Kolkata. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in football, and Nottingham Forest have sacked manager Sean Dyche after just 114 days in charge. Forest, well, they were held to a goalless draw at home by rock-bottom Wolves on Wednesday, leaving them 3 points above the relegation zone with 12 games remaining. Clearly unhappy with the form under Dyche, the Forest board have now taken the decision to sack the former Everton boss. It is believed that Forest are in talks with former Wolves boss Vitor Pereira about taking charge until the end of the season. Sticking in football, and Manchester City have cut the gap to Premier League leaders Arsenal to 3 points after a convincing 3-0 victory at home against Fulham on Wednesday evening. Antoine Semenyo, Nico O'Reilly and Erling Haaland were all on the scoresheet for the Citizens. There was one worrying moment in the game though for City as Haaland was taken off at the break. Speaking though about the situation, manager Pep Guardiola said, "Niggles, he felt uncomfortable. The reason why, many games. I didn't speak with the doctors. He felt something, fatigue. We have a lot of games and we have Omar Mamouche, a common sense, right? Elsewhere in the Premier League on Wednesday, and Aston Villa managed to snatch a late 1-0 victory at home against Brighton after Jack Hinchelwood's own goal in the 86th minute. Crystal Palace, well, they suffered a damaging defeat as they lost 3-2 at home to Burnley. Jorgen Strand Larsen, their deadline day signing from Wolves, he grabbed a brace in the first half. However, the Clarets managed to score 3 goals without reply as they picked up a rare victory. And at the Stadium of Light, Liverpool managed to squeeze past Sunderland by 1-0. The Black Cats were the only team yet to be defeated at home in the league this season, but that record has now gone due to Van Dijk's 61st minute winner. Moving on to Winter Olympics news now, and Lila Fear said she could not believe the costly and devastating error that she made, which meant she and partner Lewis Gibson missed out on the ice dance medals at the Winter Olympics. Fear and Gibson finished 7th overall, meaning they failed to reach their goal of being the first British figure skaters in 32 years to win an Olympic medal. Fear, well, she tripped on the second element of their free dance routine, and despite skating cleanly for the remainder, it proved too much of an obstacle to overcome. It means the wait goes on for British skating since Dame Jane Torville and Sir Christopher Dean won bronze at the Lillehammer Games in 1994. It also continues Team GB's disappointing games so far, with no medals won yet. And finally, finishing in cricket, and England captain Harry Brooks said his batters were too careful in their 30-run defeat by the West Indies at the T20 World Cup. England reached 74 for 1 in pursuit of 197, but then lost 6 wickets in succession to spin in the middle overs and were bowled out for 166 in 19 overs. Brooke, who was out-caught and bowled for 17, was one of 3 batters dismissed by spinner Gurukesh Motti. Speaking on this though, Brooke said, "I'd much rather get caught on the boundary than the way I did today. That's part of T20 cricket. He was the main threat at that time, so I was just trying to knock it into the leg side and get Sam Curran back on strike." England have a chance to hit back when they face Scotland on Saturday before their final Group C match against Italy on Monday, with both games taking place in Kolkata. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in football, and Nottingham Forest have sacked manager Sean Dyche after just 114 days in charge. Forest, well, they were held to a goalless draw at home by rock-bottom Wolves on Wednesday, leaving them 3 points above the relegation zone with 12 games remaining. Clearly unhappy with the form under Dyche, the Forest board have now taken the decision to
Eze just holds it up, though, goes back towards his own defensive. I just to remind you very quickly, it's Koeman Kelleher in goal for Brentford, a back four of Michael Coyote, Christopher Ayer, Sepp Vandenberg and Rico Henry. Two holding midfielders, Jeko Jarmoliuk and Vitaly Janelt. The three ahead of Dango Otara, Matthias Jensen and Keane Lewis Potter. Igor Thiago is the front man for Arsenal. David Raya in goal, a back four of Jurriën Timber, Christian Mosquera, Gabriel and Piero Hincapi. Then it's Bere Eze, Martin Zubimendi and Declan Rice as the three in midfield, with three up front: Noni Madueke, Leandro Trossard and Victor Gyökeres. And just as I was going through that Arsenal 11, my voice raised just slightly because it's a terrible back pass here from Gabriel. He's missed David Raya by at least 5 yards, and it's a gift of a corner for Brentford.
Yeah, the last Arsenal commentary I did was when they played Bournemouth and he kicked the ball towards Evan Nielsen without looking, and he tapped him for a goal in an empty net. So I've got previous with him misplacing a pass to David Raya. That is not as bad, but nearly as effective. It'll be as bad if they score this corner, though.
Absolutely, yes. And Brentford certainly know how to use their corners, but they're up against a side who knows how to defend and score from corners over. They really are bunching up inside the 6-yard box. John Brooks, I think, is going to have to just halt proceedings here. Zubimendi and Igor Thiago were effectively displaying some sort of MMA there inside the penalty area, inside the net, in fact, as they were pushing and shoving each other. Referee just coming across, telling them to stop it, and then they're going to do exactly the same thing again in about 2 seconds' time. But right now we are going to see this ball whipped in by Jensen. Raya really is having to try and find some space. Jensen puts a high ball into the box. The keeper, well, it's straight at David Raya, really, for all that work. It was an easy save for the keeper. Now a chance for a counter for Arsenal, but the ball is picked off in midfield here by Janelt. He then leaves it here for Eze. It's a real fight for it in midfield before Gyökeres comes away with it. That's going to be a yellow card for Vitaly Janelt inside the first 3.5 minutes. You know that some referees like to allow that first shirt pull, but I think the one from Janelt there was just too blatant.
It was. I can understand he's a little bit panicked, Paul, with the player on the outside of Gyökeres, but that is a very silly early yellow card inside 4 minutes from him, especially the team he's playing against. This is a battle of attrition in the middle of the park. You've got to be in there right from the very first whistle, fighting it out. You might have to put a tackle in. He's now going to have to think about backing out of a 50-50 if it means he could get carded, and it's all a bit needless. I thought the corner was very poor. I thought the reaction was great from Brentford, though, because they immediately smothered the counter-attack. But a nice pace about it inside the first 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hope for more of the same. And Janelt was certainly Jordan Henderson's man of the match in that Brentford win against Newcastle at the weekend. Although officially, I think Dango Otara was given the award. He did have a real hand in Brentford's goal scoring that evening, but Janelt really did have an excellent game in midfield. And certainly Henderson felt as though Janelt should have had the award on that particular night, but now it's going to be a long night for him with that yellow card. Here come Arsenal down the left here with Trossard towards the edge of the area. Coyote and Jarmoliuk are trying to slow him down, but Trossard still keeps the ball, rolls it back into midfield here for Gabriel. Out towards Trossard on the left-hand side. Brentford just keeping their offside at the edge of the area, but Arsenal with plenty of players forward here. Zubimendi back towards Trossard. No options for a diagonal ball at this stage, so it's gone back to Gabriel again. Arsenal sticking to this left-hand side. It's with Hincapi now. He tries a cross, gets a deflection off the back of Coyote, which straightens the ball out enough for an easy save for Kelleher, who then punts it long straight away, trying to pick out Igor Thiago. It's a bouncing ball that Thiago just misjudged. I thought he was favourite to get that one, really, but never really understood the flight of the ball there, and Mosquera wins it anyway.
Yeah, I think if you've got a chance there for Thiago, you've got to try and jump with him. It's just an awkward ball to let bounce for both of them. They always say it, don't they, in football, don't let the ball bounce. They both did. It's worse that Mosquera let it bounce rather than Thiago, but yeah, almost like once it bounced, he sort of backed off it a little bit. But it's an avenue, clear, that they're trying to catch them out. I think sometimes maybe teams do give Arsenal a tad too much respect. I think sometimes when they're playing them, you can't afford to do that. You've got to treat them in their own. You know, you don't have to put them in the bubble as this great defensive team. If they shut you down, great, but at least test the arm a little bit.
No, absolutely. I think that there may be just a case of backing off, not giving Arsenal that, so not pressing too high in case then they get over that press. But then on the other hand, if you back off too much, it just encourages Arsenal to get forward. As now Brentford win it back, and it's with Dango Otara. He's off down the right-hand side, being covered well though by Trossard. Breaks away from him. He breaks away from Eze. He's playing through the middle now, and then he threads the ball into the box, which was always overhit, and it wasn't really in the right direction for Igor Thiago, but promising there from Dango.
Yeah, it was nice and attacking, driving on the front foot. You know, Thiago was never going to get near it. Gabriel cut that passing lane out anyway with some pretty crafty defending, but the pass was poor enough that even if Gabriel wasn't there, as David Raya nearly concedes an own goal against his team. A poor missed first touch, and they're playing with fire back there, the Gunners.
They certainly are. Raya just miscontrolled at the edge of his own 6-yard box. Now, ball was lurking very close to the goal line, but he just about kept it in play. Gyökeres and Madueke, a little bit of miscommunication there across 5 yards. They lose the ball between them, and it's out for a goal kick. I love the way that Raya then stands and sort of asks one of his teammates what was that, when it's clearly his fault.
Yeah, I don't know whether he feels that he shouldn't have been played it originally because there's somebody nearby, but even so, there was enough time to play a touch and get a crisp pass away. And they just look a bit slick out there. It's a cold night. You can see the players when they're shouting at each other. You can see the mist in the air from the breath. And yeah, for me, Brentford have made a really lively start. They've just got to try and settle down Arsenal. They haven't been able to get a grip on the game. The issue is they don't want to get that grip once Brentford have scored.
Absolutely not. And good run down the right there from Otara, trying to switch play. Lewis Potter keeps it in play, then draws the long throw. Draws the challenge, which is going to give Brentford a long throw now into the box. So I expect to see Coyote coming across to this left-hand side. But yeah, an early cross this time from Dango Otara. Never really close enough to Igor Thiago. But Michael Coyote is across to take this one. And he's going to try and get as much distance on this as he can, the Brentford right back. Known as the long throw specialist here, and Aya lurking at the edge of the 6-yard box. You can see both managers trying to get some instructions out to their players here as Coyote launches that one. He's launched it too far, in fact. I mean, that is actually quite impressive to be sort of 25 yards out from goal and to launch it at height and for the ball to actually just sail out for a goal kick. Yeah,
he's just got his direction wrong, hasn't he? Whether it's spun out of the hands, I'm not sure, but if he gets that throw in central, that goes beyond the penalty spot towards the far post. It is another corner. And teams have utilised it. Some have copied them, without a doubt. I think there's no way for me did teams, whether they prep him long throw-ins in pre-season. I think Brentford would have been with Keith Andrews in charge, of course, a former set-piece coach. He's just got that wrong, but it's a warning sign for Arsenal.
It's a warning sign for Arsenal, but now warnings for Brentford here as the Gunners break down the left-hand side. Hincapi towards the edge of the area, leaves it now for Declan Rice. No options for the cross for Declan Rice. He plays it back in towards Gabriel. And then it just opens up here in front of Zubamendi, back towards the left-hand side, edge of the area. Hincapi lifts a ball in, big deflection off Coyote. No way that Kelleher's going to get on the end of that. It's out for an Arsenal corner. Just back to your point about the Brentford long throw. It's funny, actually, that earlier today I saw a little recap of the first time these two sides met in the Premier League, which was the opening night of when Brentford got promoted. And they actually scored their second goal from a long throw. It was launched into the box. Bernd Leno never came out for it, and Norgard nodded it in. So although Coyote has become the sort of expert of the long throw, Brentford have been employing that tactic since their very first evening in the Premier League. And now we can see Arsenal's set-piece coach trying to get some last instructions out to his team as they have their first corner kick of the evening. Declan Rice standing over this one. Rain really is coming down hard over the G-Tech now. But Rice, one arm raised. And not too many players inside the 6-yard box, but now they're moving towards the back post. It's headed towards goal. And Kelleher was there, Vandenberg's there just ahead of him, and he blocks the header from Gabriel out for another corner. Yeah, Gabriel's just had a word with Madueke, Paul. I think that might mean that he's the in-swinging option next time. It's a good header, it's an awkward angle. I think for him to score there, Brentford have to maybe have 4 players fall asleep because there's a line of them, including the keeper on the line. It hits his shoulder as well, that might help them. But Vandenberg gets a good head to it. I mean, he is the main threat. Brentford are quite weak at set pieces, I think, corners-wise. Well, they've got a little better now under Keith Andrews than what they were under Thomas Frank. But, yeah, Arsenal are the top goal scorers in the league from corners. Interesting enough, they're only 1 goal ahead of Spurs, who've got 13 to Arsenal's 14. But now an in-swinging corner here from Madueke. But decent bit of height on this one as well. It's a good header, though. Vandenberg getting his head to that. He actually was the one who headed the ball out of Kelleher's hands with the previous cross. It's now with Trossard on the left. He goes back in towards Rice. Trossard again, left-hand edge of the penalty area. He cut back onto his right, then it's back onto his left. Drills across him, which is headed away by Coyote. A long way away, in fact, all the way to the halfway line, where Declan Rice is tracking this ball. And then he goes square over towards Timber, who was the last man back on that right-hand side. It's with Madueke now on the right-hand touchline as Arsenal look. He gets away from Rico Henry. Henry still sticking with him, though, and eventually Madueke is just forced to play that ball back towards Timber. It's a bit of pressing there as well from Dango Otara, but the ball now comfortably laid back towards David Raya. Clears this one a long way over the halfway line. Good header away, though, from Rico Henry. Second ball drops to Zubamendi. Dango Otara is covering there with him. And the ball is out for a throw. So Arsenal are just trying to exert a bit more pressure, but for the time being, not really getting anything in the penalty area, certainly not from open play. No, the next point I was about to mention was I think it's so important that
Brentford did what they just did for that corner. They conceded a second corner in a row, and then they smothered Trossard, who couldn't swing it in first time, because essentially for Arsenal, they've got another set piece, because they've got everybody forward defensively, Gabriel, Mosquera and others. So if they can close down that second option once they get it, it'll massively help their cause, because I think they seem to startle Arsenal by how quick they pressed.
Yes, absolutely. I think that the idea is that you always want to try and surprise Arsenal. I think you made that point earlier in the game. It's a very valid point. The teams do obviously respect Arsenal and sometimes back off, sometimes don't sort of alter their natural game a little bit too much. You have to obviously make some alterations, but if you just back off and play nothing like you normally do, well, that's going to be so alien to the players that they're not going to be able to get anything out of that anyway. But Arsenal now, in the last couple of minutes at least, are certainly starting to dominate in terms of possession. It's difficult now for Brentford to get a touch of the ball, but Arsenal being forced further and further back. It's Gabriel now at the edge of his own box, playing this one back towards Raya. The right-hand side now for Mosquera. Back to Raya again. Igor Thiago's lurking just in case there's any mistake from the former Brentford keeper. That ball to Zubamendi, probably just a little bit too close to Jensen. He's trying to close down on Gabriel, but Arsenal, though they are playing it quite risky inside their own half, they are able to keep as well. Look at that, commentator's curse. Just as I finished saying those words, Trossard plays a ball that's at least 10 yards away from Madueke.
Yeah, I'm quite impressed by how close Brentford are getting. This won't continue forever, because naturally players tire, but that's what you've got your subs for, to just replace and get them on the front foot. The longer that Arsenal have the ball, for some teams they back off. Brentford are activating the press quite well. I do think there's an element of Arsenal being a little bit wayward with some passes. Yeah, there was a bit of pressurising there, but that pass from Trossard should have been more accurate enough. I thought the Raya ball to Zubamendi was a bit under-hit, like you tried to allude to, you'd mentioned in commentary. So there's Arsenal at a 6 out of 10 at the minute, and Brentford defensively are just really, really solid, making life awkward.
Well, they are making life awkward, and now there was almost a real calamity for Arsenal in defence. It was a nice header on from Igor Thiago. Keane Lewis-Potter was the one chasing the loose ball. Unfortunately for him, there were two Arsenal players closing him down. It almost went in between the two centre-backs, but they just about dealt with it. Arsenal was now Trossard deflects the ball out from Michael Coyote, so it's out for a throw to Brentford, but it's still deep inside their own half. Over on the right-hand side, 14 minutes gone, unofficial, independent, off-tube studio commentary. It is goalless between Brentford and Arsenal. And now a long clearance there. That's no good from Brentford. They just give the ball away. So you don't need to give Arsenal free possession. They get enough of the ball as it is. So when you do have a chance to play out from the back, you've got to try and use that a little bit better, as Mosquera just dawdles on the ball, and that encourages three Brentford players now to press. It's Yarmoliuk, Thiago and Dango Otara, but Raya now clears the ball up to the halfway line. Vandenberg gets there just ahead of Gyökeres. It's then flicked on by Jensen. Up in the air here by Yarmoliuk, but that's really good covering from Rice. But he's been robbed of the ball, and Yarmoliuk carries on going, and then the referee gives a free kick against Brentford there. I tend to think that's to put not even a thinly veiled comment. That to me is a bit of a top of the league decision. We'll see here. I mean, there's not much of a foul there for me.
It's not a foul at any level, is it? Let's be honest. I get your point you try to make about the top teams sometimes get the rub of the green. There's just not enough in it. Here goes Madueke, though. He gets stopped in his tracks, but it's such a shame as well. You don't feel as aggrieved even if it's a neutral or a Brentford player, if that's just a middle of the road nothingness tackle and he pulls up. They get the ball and they're through. That's the issue. They're nearly through on goal. Yeah, well, I mean, I say the point was made at the weekend as well about the penalty that Brentford could have had after 90 seconds away to Newcastle when Keane Lewis-Potter had his arm pulled by Trippier. And as I say, for me, Haaland would have got that decision, home or away. It's just, I think that the fact that Lewis-Potter sort of exaggerated the fall a little bit probably didn't help him on that occasion, on that particular night. But I think a bit of a get out of jail free card there for Declan Rice. He was caught in possession, and John Brooks. Well, as I say, I mean, I don't give any of our referees about over 6.5 out of 10 anyway, but he's probably pushing a 5 most of the time. Is Mr. Brooks, as here come Arsenal now down the left-hand side. Nkappi in towards Trossard. Back to Declan Rice here on the halfway line, just being closed down by Dango Otara. And now Gabriel under pressure as having to go back towards David Raya. This is where, funnily enough, although Arsenal aren't playing particularly well, this is where Brentford have to be careful, because one long ball, one killer pass, and suddenly Arsenal can actually get that one chance. So they might look as though they're a little bit under the weather, but they can still quickly turn that around. Yeah, especially with the form that Gyökeres has managed to get himself into. It's maybe gone a little bit under the radar. That I think a lot of people will try to enjoy the struggles he was having, because obviously Arsenal have needed a striker for so long, but he's managed to come good in the last few weeks, popping up with some important goals. Yes, even if some of the ties are already dead and buried, for his confidence to get the third, the fourth, just adds a real, good vibe to the place. And he gets the ball now in the penalty area, tries to turn past his man, and he's still in attack.
Yeah, well, he couldn't quite turn towards goal. He turns away from the penalty area in the end, but then a combination of Yarmolyuk and Aya just about get the ball away from Gyökeres, and it's Yarmolyuk's ball into Dango Otara. He's standing still waiting for a free kick that he's never going to get, but then the ball into the box from Arsenal wasn't particularly good. Cleared by Aya, bouncing ball sent back towards the edge of the Brentford penalty area. Trossard does well to turn away from Yarmolyuk. He's still in possession here as the Belgian. The ball played into the box, and Eze was close by, but Janelt does really well, and then a quick bit of one-touch stuff here between Coyote and Yarmolyuk gets the ball away. Dango Otara is then caught in possession, but Coyote just making sure that this ball goes out of play. It won't go out of play, but then he's clever enough to draw the foul off Trossard and just take the pressure off.
Yeah, it's a typical challenge now, isn't it, in the modern day, where there's a yellow card coming out to break off. Someone in the dugout, I think it's Keith Andrews, in fact, that's getting it.
Yeah, and I think not even hearing what Keith Andrews said, not even lip reading what he's. Well, I've lip read a little bit of what he said now, but it's not a time of day that I could broadcast that.
I think the last word was shambles.
Shambles, yeah, absolutely. I think that was the last word, but
can't repeat the first.
It was the first two or three of that I think we'd be struggling with. But yeah, I think he's very angry about that Yarmolyuk one, isn't he? I think he was unhappy that he would have seen that as a really good bit of work from his Ukrainian midfielder. And Keith Andrews himself, somebody who was midfielder in his day, I think he would have been very frustrated if that free kick had been given against him back in his playing days. But Brentford in possession now on the halfway line with Vitaly Janelt. Square now to Sepp Vandenberg. Again, getting a run in the team now. Interesting, really, that the club captain has been sat on the bench now for the last 3 or 4 games. It actually started with the Villa game where Vandenberg had a particularly good performance. Brentford, of course, played very well in that game, having to play 60 minutes with 10 men and still come away with a win from Villa Park. But Rico Henry in danger of being caught in possession, and he's probably got a bit out of jail free card there. The referee returning the favour now, giving Brentford a free kick, which was probably borderline.
Yeah, I was just my first thought was, had he tried to even it up a little bit there? There's definitely a leg stuck out to make a legitimate challenge, but it all happened so quickly to see if there was a genuine touch on the ball. What I will say is exactly where Zubimendi played it, the ball went. So you would say, naturally, that tells you that he did get a touch of the ball, but yeah, referees often do try and even things out when they've made a slight error when they first get an opportunity, and I think he's just done that.
Absolutely, yeah. There used to be a sort of a rumour that referees sort of managed the game by trying to even things out, but now, of course, with ex-referees podcasting, etc., they've pretty much admitted that's exactly what they do. As Igor Thiago now is brought down with a clumsy challenge there from Gabriel, and he's going to get a booking. That's his first slide challenge, really, the Arsenal captain. And he's trying to suggest there that all he was trying to do was slide in and take the ball off his fellow compatriot. But as far as John Brooks is concerned, that's, well, I mean, I actually think he might even get the ball there, but he has taken a bit of the man as well.
Yeah, it's another one where I think it's very, very close. And then the major issue is to Cardi. I think he's done that again because of the card he gave out earlier.
But the thing is, Janelt deserved it. Although it was a very early yellow card, it was a clumsy pull of the shirt when the opponent was getting away from him. So although we know some Premier League referees allow that first shirt pull depending on where it is and the context, but for whatever reason John Brooks did book Vitaly Janelt, and now Gabriel picks up a yellow where I think many referees in that situation probably wouldn't have given him a booking straight away. But now Brentford with a free kick. Arsenal just inside their penalty area with the offside, just a little, maybe a yard or two into the box. It's Matthias Jensen standing over this one as the right-footed option. The left-footed option is Janelt, but it is going to be Jensen. Lifts it in towards the back post. It's headed up in the air. It then drops to Trossard, who's sliced his clearance. But Jensen will let this go out of play for a throw, because it gives a chance now for Brentford to utilise Coyote again.
Yeah, there was a few appeals for Arsenal back there for something. Trossard's clearance wasn't the best anyway, but again, Coyote's got the towel to prepare himself for this delivery, and again, such a weapon. If he can get it on target this time, then they've got some defending to do.
Absolutely. I believe the rule now with the towels is that if both sides agree before the game that towels can be on the touchline, then it's not a problem. But if one side doesn't want them, then the other side isn't allowed to have them. I think that's the rule, but I think generally speaking, all Premier League sides have had a gentleman's agreement that they can do that. Coyote now launches that one into the box, actually flicked on by an Arsenal head, and it goes across the 6-yard box rather than away. But Raya is the quickest to react, but then he bowls the ball out straight to Matthias Jensen, and Brentford have still got plenty of men forward. Jensen, left-hand edge of the area, lifts it in. Igor Thiago, what a save that is from Raya. Still kept alive though by Christopher Aya, goes back in towards Coyote. His cross from the right-hand side is overhit this time. It's a hanging ball which Rice can get underneath. Headed into the area again here by Rico Henry. It bounces over Igor Thiago. It won't quite sit up for Dango Otara. And finally Arsenal do clear their lines. I mean, Raya, he was the architect of that problem, but then he also saved it.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if Declan Rice was at fault a little bit, but you are right. Raya can see them at the pitch. He should be able to... Yes, Rice's run is good. I like the energy, but Raya should look up and go, well, I can't play you that pass, I'm sorry, and just keep it. And if Declan Rice has a go at him, he can look at the footage tomorrow in training. But yeah, he puts his team under a massive risk and under pressure. He then bails them out. If you do that, fair enough. But great header from Thiago, deserved a goal. With that keeper being that good, he scores. Simple as.
Absolutely, yeah, really was a good save there from Raya after a decent header from Igor Thiago. Football can surprise you sometimes. Just a complete tangent, but I mean, I was on commentary for the Nottingham Forest game last night. At no point did it even occur to me that I was going to be Sean Dyche's last game in charge. It was an incredible turnaround, really, and just speaking to you off air as well before about that collector's item of a 6-on-1 counter-attack that Forest had in the game yesterday, and they somehow managed not to score from it. I can't really think of any other time at any level of football where I've seen quite a bit of it, where I've seen something like that. It was quite incredible. So maybe that was the straw that broke the camel's back as far as Mr. Marinakis was concerned. But now a long clearance here from Raya, who was aiming at Trossard, but Yarmolyuk is back and he covers and lays the ball off towards Kwame Kelleher. So we are over the halfway mark in this first half. 23.5 minutes gone. It is goalless between Brentford and Arsenal. It is Tom to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, Brentford in possession with Vandenberg, and he goes back to Kelleher. Not that much pressure from the Gunners, a little bit enough to give him a touch or two of time as Mosquera. Thiago flies in. Mosquera will now get the chance to put pressure on Janel, who accused him of standing on the back of the leg, and immediately pulls up. Quite a hard thing to dive about, really. As David Raya never looked once at who was coming with Jensen piling in, but I think the best thing I thought the save was good. I think the best thing is his movement. How he gets back across his goal that quickly to say he's at one side of his box is very impressive.
And actually, it's not even a fingertip save. He's actually saving that with his body, which is proof of exactly what you said, that he's moving across that goal line so quickly, because he probably felt that little bit of extra adrenaline having given the ball away in the first place.
Yeah, free kick to Brentford here on that Janel incident, which they took their time with, because a good 10-15 seconds have passed of us showing a Raya replay of that save. Gabriel has got the man-marking assignment of Thiago, which he'll try and win the header now, and he jumps early, gets the slightest of touches to it, then he nips in as Madueke's got to be careful. Another looping ball in, headed away by Zubin Mendy. Now Mosquera will dig in, and it's a real battle up there for Brentford, and they manage to hold on here, Arsenal, to Gyökeres, who keeps hold of possession, only for a split second though. Touch unfortunate there. He gets the right side of Janel, wins it back, holds it off from him. But then Yarmolyuk is able to get back and pinch it after a loose touch. The last 5 minutes of possession, 91% to 9 in Brentford's favour. I know 5 minutes is a small data sample, but it's not often the Gunners will have had less than 10% possession.
No, it's yeah, and when you think that in that time Arsenal have actually had a bit of possession in terms of trying to play out from the back, it just goes to show how much of the ball Brentford have seen. But it's just the one save from Raya so far. They've got to try and be able to improve on that if they can.
Yeah, it's up towards Gyökeres, who can't get hold of it. It's into Eze. Eze's going to bring it forward, and he'll look to try and find a gap in this Brentford midfield. It's back from Trossard to Rice. He will shape it right to Timber. He's had very little space in an attacking sense as Julian Timber. Back to Madueke. 1-2 with Timber, who stops in his tracks due to the pass. Goes to Mosquera. Mosquera to Eze. Eze looking for a way through, and he goes back into the middle, though he delays it in first. Then it's into Timber. Timber tries to hold off the Brentford pressure, and it's well won back by Lewis Potter, who gets on the attack for Brentford. It was from behind, but I didn't think there was enough in it to give a free kick as Utara comes forward. Sorry, it's actually Coyote, and now it's played into Lewis Potter. Arsenal's defence stretch as Declan Rice, of all peoples, at left back, trying to stop Utara, who's trying to deliver the ball. Rice gets to him first, looks right, then left, and then goes to his left shoulder to clear. into Trossard, and it's good work from the Gunners midfielders, but as I say that, Trossard gives it away terribly as he just smashes it downfield, barely above ankle height, straight into Yarmouk, back to Van den Berg and Ayer, and it is the latter that gets hold of possession 26.5 minutes in. Still goalless at the G-Tech Unity Stadium. Mikel Arteta is trying to give out the instructions to his players, and they have lost another hold-up player. Kai Havertz should have been perfect for this sort of tie tonight with his back to goal, holding up possession. What they've gained with Eze is a different style of playmaker. But you can't underestimate how strong Brentford are defensively and in midfield. They've got some big bodies. As Gyökeres just falls asleep in the pressurising department and just steps forward, forgetting where he was. Janelt, as a result, can get away. Madueke just given up on him, and Arsenal are under pressure. Shocking from the two forwards here to allow them to come forward. It's into midfield for Jensen. He plays it back inside to Yarmouk. Here is Coyote. Out to the right wing for Atara. Pressurised by Nkapie. His own teammate gets in his way as the ball swung in. It's a dangerous ball. Nobody for Arsenal wanted to deal with that. Zubimendi eventually did. Rice will pick it up and clear. But Raya stayed rooted to his goal line. Gabriel, the ball was behind him. And Zubimendi comes to the rescue. And it's, again, difficult. He only has to he has to get there one, two, not turn it towards his own goal, and then get it clear.
Well, it was fascinating for me here is that this little 5-minute spell for Brentford is turning into a 7, 8, 10-minute spell now. And a couple of times we've seen Arsenal just aimlessly trying to hoof the ball away just to try and take the pressure off. And they've actually managed to get that bit wrong as well. So whatever's happened here in terms of Brentford stepping it up, it just seems to have thrown Arsenal a little bit. That's why you almost feel like Brentford have got to try and jump on this now, because surely Arsenal can't be this sort of absent from the ball for much longer. So whilst they are, Brentford have got to try and capitalise.
Yeah, here is Keller just outside his D of his penalty area, and he floats the ball forward towards Thiago. Mosquera gives him a slight nudge. Thiago unable to get to it. Gabriel picks up the pieces, and it's back in from Gabriel for the Brazilian all the way up towards Van den Berg, who collects possession. They're quite happy, I think, to lure Gyökeres out of his position, because the support play behind him isn't on the same page. And I'm not saying he's lazy, the Swede, because he's been running his self into certain angles, but it's the fact that him and Eze perhaps are not on the same page and just a little bit slow. It's been a real avenue for Brentford to step out of the central positions without having to go long.
No, absolutely. I think that from Gyökeres' point of view, I mean, you not the idea of having Trossard and Madueke in the team is that they're going to be supporting him with it, but if they're starting that much deeper, then it is leaving Gyökeres just that little bit more isolated, and we've seen that a couple of times, although he's not really had that much service. Only not had that much service in front of goal yet so far. He's not had any chance to try and go for goal, but Brentford now just trying to play out from the back, and they look comfortable on the ball for the time being.
Yeah, I think Arsenal are important, need to get to half-time. It's one of those games where you sometimes need your team talk from your manager and your coaching staff just to... They've identified the tweaks that need to be made. When you're in the heart of battle for the Gunners, you don't often spot where the issues are. There's Rice. Again, there's too much space for Brentford in midfield. Here's Lewis Potter, tries to thread the ball through into Atara, which he has. Nkapie gets it. Rice picks up the loose touch, and now he will play a forward pass. Takes a deflection off a Brentford man. Madueke tries to play it forward. The deflection has worked towards him, behind Gyökeres, but in front of the Brentford defence. There's a handball appeal from Arsenal. Brentford get back and get there, and a really good scrambling bit of defence. Two Arsenal players on the counter-attack as Gyökeres really should be penalised and perhaps could be carded for that, and it should be a yellow card, and it will be. And Mikel Arteta grimaces. That's the best counter-attack they've produced. It's the closest they've got. I think that's just weight of numbers that's let them down, and maybe the pass.
Yeah, I think the pass. I mean, this yellow card for Gyökeres is a disgrace. I mean, as I say, there's the referee has made a run for his own back by giving Janelt that yellow card after 3.5 minutes, and now even a hint of a shirt pull or a pullback, and the referee is carding everybody. But on this occasion, when that ball was played into the box, as you say, there were just too many Brentford players around. Arsenal actually had a couple of goes at trying to finish that move off. But there was a particular moment when that ball was put into the box where, as you said, there was a handball appeal where it could have gone very different. But Brentford just about survived that one.
Yeah, I'm happy to get that wrong. I thought he'd clipped a bit more intentionally than he did, as Thiago gives away a free kick on Nkapie, who makes the referee and linesman's job decide for them, because he lands on the ball to give a free kick to himself, which sometimes goes wrong.
It does sometimes, where you sort of grab the ball and then you expect a free kick, and suddenly you get pulled up for the handball, don't you?
Yeah, just going back to that incident with Gyökeres as well, he's just running alongside him, and the Brentford player's leg actually kicks. He doesn't actually put his leg across him. The Brentford player just, as they're running alongside each other, he's clipped Gyökeres' leg. There is no attempt whatsoever from the Swede to penalise and push him back, as he's got the ball now. He's got Ayer on the back of him trying to get off the ball, and he's done that for now, but he's along the goal line, and Kelleher, for some reason, smacks it off the defender rather than clearing it downfield for a corner kick.
I can't really explain that, and the wide-eyed expression from Kwame Kelleher tells me that I don't think he knows exactly what he was doing there either. I think the idea was that there was an Arsenal player just behind Ayer, and he was hoping just to casually knock this off Gyökeres and win Brentford a goal kick. The trouble was that Ayer was always in the way of that, so I'm not really sure what Kelleher was trying to do. It looks really sort of lazy and haphazard from the Republic of Ireland.
Yeah, I mean, Ayer just looked at him in disbelief. There's a little glare to just say, what on earth have you just done? 0-0, Brentford and Arsenal. 32 minutes gone on the clock. There's a gunner's corner to come, in which you give Arsenal, the best set-piece team in the league, a chance to score. You are asking for real trouble, especially when you give up possession yourself. There's 3 near-post runners for Arsenal towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It's cleared away for now by Van der Berg. It's back out to for a foot race. They're claiming Eze has penalised and pushed down Ouattara. Well, that should be a card, because that's actually worse than all 4 pullbacks that has been penalised.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's why Matthias Jensen is asking the question, because Eze deserves that yellow card, absolutely, as you said, more than anybody else. I mean, the contact with Ouattara is minimal. That may be why the referee has on this occasion decided not to book the former Crystal Palace man, but the look from Eze suggests that he doesn't even think it was a foul at all.
No, and again, looking at another reverse angle, he's not even looking at him. Unless he's very clever and just, some players can be fixated on the ball but know where the player is and they make sure they stick out a leg, but his running stride doesn't change and yet he still goes to ground. And I think it's another one where there's a natural clipping on the heels of 2 players looking at the same thing, and I think you've tried and successfully made the right point. He's made a rod for his own back. Once he gave the Janelt one, he's now had to give it. He's got to give every single one, and every player on both sets of the side of the field are saying the same thing to him. Well, you've given the fat, you've given that, you've given that, and now he's got a question and answer session for the rest of the game. As Arsenal step over halfway, as Trossard gets hold of it, it's into Rice. The England international will sweep it to the right hand side for Timber, who's got Lewis Potter in front of him defensively. He goes wide to Madueke, who's trying to get past Henry. Madueke ignores the overlapping run and will look to play it into the middle towards the far post. Coyote heads it up and away, but only to left back, where Henry's got to smash it clear and does. Madueke, that's a terrible dive. The referee's fallen for it, hook, line and sinker. Madueke puts the arms out, but then they're as close as you can to your body, and Lewis Potter just feels them. I mean, there was Jakobiol for Leeds United the other night. One of the most blatantly stupid decisions when he pushed somebody in the back for a penalty. Both arms were out full stretch. The referee's got no choice. That's a dive for me.
Well, it is. I mean, as I say, it's got to the stage now where even big defenders, even goalkeepers, have learned how to show the referee that there's contact on them, just to try and draw the foul, just to try and get the free kick. And from a sporting point of view, it's not great from Lewis Potter, but from a pragmatic defensive point of view, he's just completely cancelled the threat that Arsenal had from that particular move, so it's worked out well for him.
Yeah, it's part of the game, isn't it? It's a real shame. I wouldn't mind if the arm had come out. I wouldn't mind it, but the fact that the arms were stuck to his chest, I think he's bought one off the referee, but his teammates won't care one bit. They'll be delighted with his contribution, as are Arsenal's defenders to watch David Raya come off his line to pick up a pass, and the Spaniard is just going to take it back to his penalty spot to assess and survey the options in front of him, and Declan Rice is the one he chooses on the edge of his edge of the centre circle. Sorry, edge of the circle on the edge of the penalty box. Get my positioning right as Rice goes back to the 6-yard box now for Raya, who again will play a 1-2, and the 2 teammates combine nicely to give Declan Rice plenty of room to manoeuvre into. In fact, for some reason, Brentford allowed him the full GTEC Unity Stadium centre field. He goes out to Nkapie. He could go to the penalty area if he wants. Instead, he floats it into the far post towards Gyökeres, headed away beautifully by Brentford, and much needed as well. Did wonder if Nkapie should have gone into the box, but with a cross like that, you can understand why he decided to pick his spot and have a go. Here is Mosquera out to the right hand side for Timber. It remains goalless at the GTEC Unity Stadium, but you get the feeling that could end at any minute. It's always a good sign in a Premier League game that it's bubbling nicely. Neither side are playing too well on the ball and are both showing flashes of good bits. Brentford's 5 or 10 minutes, then they give it up to Arsenal, I still think Brentford have had the better things.
I think they have, but now it's Arsenal really trying to sort of overturn that dominance that Brentford had in a 7-8 minute spell, and here comes the ball in from the right hand side, which is just behind Gyökeres.
Yeah, Timber was looking for Gyökeres. He gets it back out to Trossard, who keeps it in the Belgian. Back to Nkapie. Rice is asking for it in the middle, but the pass had to be instant. He delays it. Here's Gabriel. Back it goes towards Trossard. Looking for an avenue is the Belgian. Gabriel looks across the box and will now fire the ball into the far post from Madueke. There's handball appeals from the Brentford fans, I think, there as the ball is played in by Madueke. It'll go behind Zubimendi, and now Thiago can play it in a foot race. Gabriel's already spotted it, though, and realises the danger is coming, and he's going to cushion his header back towards Raya, with Atara a sitting duck, really, and just chasing a ghost. 36.5 gone. Out towards Zubimendi, who's crossed over halfway. He's running at a three-pronged Brentford midfield for now, centrally. Thiago's dropping in pretty deep as well, and that's no doubt to stop this man in possession, Declan Rice, who's carrying it out to the right-hand side this time for Madueke. He's going to try and step inside Madueke, and he does. And it's a good bit of trickery needed to get past Henry, but he's going to try and have a go here, Madueke. The two flamboyant players for Arsenal have been well reserved for now, as Timber to Rice, and back again. Timber looks back for Rice, back out to Madueke. Arsenal have 4 shirts in the penalty area. Madueke for now can't pick one out. He's running back into the box, cuts it back inside. Now to the right-hand side to get past Henry, goes to ground, and there's a penalty appeal for Arsenal. That didn't look at first to be a spot kick. The referee's given a goal kick. VAR are going to check this. I thought it looked like a bit of a stumble from Madueke, but they'll take a look. Still goalless.
Still goalless. Is there enough concept? Ooh, I don't know. I mean, Rico Henry, how much of the man does he actually get here? I don't know. I mean,
not enough.
I don't think there's enough to say that his contact is actually stopping Madueke going for the ball there.
I don't know where he actually touches him though. Madueke is like almost wanting the contact, so it's not like a blatant swan dive, but it's almost like I'm going to lean forward and hope for a push or a kick, and nothing comes of it. I mean, that would have been the harshest penalty call I've seen all season if that's given. And Brentford did not deserve that. Great header from Gabriel up towards Gyökeres, and he makes it stick out to Madueke. First time pass from him to put pressure on Aya, but it's overhit and always spinning away off the right boot of the England man. And Brentford had quite simply no chance in catching that for Arsenal. What the Gunners have managed to do in the last few minutes is just stifle Brentford a little bit. Yes, they haven't had too much success of their own, but they've had one shot, which is half that of Brentford, but only 3 shots in this game. Is quite surprising considering the open nature and flowing of it, as Rice gets it from Trossard. He goes back again. Trossard goes inside to Nkapie. He's looking for an avenue to go back to Rice. Zubimendi goes back to the England man, who's looking for a turn, but he runs into Thiago. Great recovery from him. That should be a free kick, and it's a foul from Nkapie. Arsenal are getting frustrated. I think both teams are going to get frustrated with the way this game's been managed, but Mikel Arteta's complaining, but there's no touch of the ball. I get the nature of a 50-50, but he doesn't win the ball, so what can you do?
Well, it's as you say, I mean, we've had a few comments about our referee this evening, but some of it is down to the fact that the players aren't really giving him much of a choice. And on that occasion, I think the referee really couldn't do anything else. We saw Mikel Arteta furiously trying to get an instruction out to one of his players there, just as we had that break in play with the referee giving Brentford that free kick. So it's clear that Arteta can now see that there is a way here for Arsenal to potentially try and get this lead before half-time. As a long ball here from Kelleher is straight onto the head of Nkapie, who then clears it back towards the halfway line.
So Gyökeres into Trossard, and a little nudge in his back. That'll be a free kick, which Mikel Arteta, I think he's getting annoyed at the lack of cards for what is probably just slowing Arsenal down. Arteta and Keith Andrews are both outside their technical areas here. Declan Rice has been told to come take this free kick, which he does, and he plays it into the middle for Eze, who's dropped into the centre circle in his own half to collect, and he rolls it right to Timber. Maybe a distinct lack of pace of some of these balls to Timber, where Arsenal are just going through the motions a little bit. They can just sharpen it up out wide, especially on that right hand side. They might get Madueke and Timber in. Here's Eze, out towards Madueke, back to Eze again. He will look for an avenue to play it forward, and he's dancing in possession, trying to get away from trouble, and Janelt's chasing him down, but Eze will turn away. Then he backheels it to Madueke, into Timber. Timber's going to spin both ways, and Lewis Potter sticks out the challenge, but out to Madueke, who dummies the pass, picked up by Zubimendi. He will now carry it forward. Arsenal do have a distinct lack of options centrally. Once they push certain players forward, nobody there was covering midfield if they lost it. Bit of an eye-opener there for the Gunners, if they lose the ball. Madueke down the line from Timber. On the attack, the Gunners come. Madueke is looking for a way through, gets it back to Timber. He's got the option to look across the box, but delays it for now. Back to Madueke again. And he will try and get past Henry, and he floats the ball in, headed away by Vandenberg, picked up by Gabriel, who heads it across to Rice. Wasn't the best header, but Rice's pass is beauty. And he gets it out to Trossard. He's started an attack here as Rice. Hincapié across the face of goal. Brentford will clear. They've done well to cover, but all of that came about with a bit of zest on the right boot of Declan Rice as Trossard tries to stop Ouattara, and the two of them will go at it. Great battle to see. All very fair. Declan Rice will give a ball back to Zubamendi, but all of that chance came about with someone finally putting a bit of class behind a pass.
No, it really is, and you can just see Arsenal are just starting to find those extra little details, those extra little fine margins in terms of the right passing. There's a nice move forward now from Rice.
Yeah, Rice is running through centrally, gets it out to Trossard, waits for an overlapping run shorter from Hincapié, but he looked like he wasn't interested. Here's Gabriel, who's had plenty of the ball for Arsenal inside this final third, into Trossard. He's going to try and carry this run on, but he's got Coyote over the back of him. Trossard's still getting away, and there's not enough for a free kick. There's enough to knock him off balance into Zubamendi. 42 minutes gone. Still goalless at the G-Tech as it's worked out to Mosquera. He's looking for a way through, and he plays it into Madueke. Back to Timber. Looking for a way through once again. Out to Madueke again. All very slow though once it goes wide right. Madueke will try and get to Lewis Potter. These are the best player he's got to try and get past as it's towards the far post. Rice heads it back across goal. Sorry, Hincapié cleared away only for a split second. Out to Trossard. Coyote trying to stop him. Trossard back. Hits the chest of a Brentford man, I think in Yarmaluk. As Rice to Zubamendi. Now back to Gabriel. Arsenal just turning the screw a little bit here and try to find a way through. Trossard to Rice, who's finding space everywhere out on that lush green surface in West London. Into Trossard, into Gyökeres, pings off him, poor touch. And Coyote will bring it clear as now Gabriel, I think, was trying to buy a free kick out of Thiago with a arm across the face, but the fact he's been carded puts him off as David Raya comes off his line to stop what could have been a certain opportunity for Ouattara. It is still goalless, but that's the first counter-attack where Brentford have put pressure on for a very long time.
Oh, it is a very long time. Arsenal really have had Brentford penned in their own half for a good while, but that's a good ball from the Igor Thiago to find Dango Ouattara. It's also great from David Raya. He times his run just right, and he makes sure that ball goes out for a throw. Still quite a long way from goal.
Yeah, miles away from goal is this throwing. But when you've got Coyote as an option, it'll at least get to the edge of the box. So if they can get a flick on, then who knows what can happen. He's wiped the ball down to get the moisture off the leather, and he's waiting for the option or two to come short. He's practically in the stand as he lines up his run-up. Now he does get it in. It's actually in the penalty spot, really, as it headed on towards the far post. Poor effort from Lewis Potter. He's in a position where he can turn that goalwards, Paul. And I think on a different, if he hit that 10 times, he hits certainly towards target, at least 5 of them.
Snatches at it a little bit. I think he rushed that shot there, Lewis Potter, but he wasn't fully balanced yet, as we can see Keith Andrews still trying to get some further instructions out to his players. We can see the Arsenal travelling fans. They don't look particularly thrilled at the moment. They'll be hoping that things can improve a little bit for them, because of course they'll be attacking the end where their fans are in the second half. But overall, we've got about 45 seconds before we hit injury time. I still think that Brentford will be the happiest side in terms of their style of play, but have they missed their chance with Arsenal perhaps being a bit vulnerable in the middle of that first half?
Yeah, I thought too, I said to you on air, I think if they get to half-time, Arsenal, they'll make the tweaks that just put them under less pressure, but this is still a Brentford team that are quite relentless with it. They don't have that respect barrier at home. They've got some good results so far against some top teams at this arena since they've stepped up into the Premier League, as Mosquera clears the ball away with Thiago lurking. It's been a very open game, with very little stoppages, which I think will get the generic time added on at the end of the first half. And long may it continue. The referee has let some stuff go, he's let other stuff be pegged back for cards. I thought Gabriel's card was harsh, Gyökeres' card was harsh, but it's made for a more exciting game, as with a minute left, still goalless. Stoppage time is just that sole minute, as Kelleher will smash the ball down the field of play, headed away by Timber. He's going to head it out for a throw-in. And it's an avenue really that a lot of teams, it's quite funny that do you really want a throw-in to give away against Brentford? Perhaps not. They've taken it quickly here with Henry and Jensen. He stands on the ball, Henry, doesn't look fully settled. Mosquera wins it back from him. He's got to be careful not to give away a free kick, as Timber plays it into Eze. Eze's going to try and win a free kick of his own, and he does. I didn't see that much wrong with that either, but again, referees have this difficulty where players backing in, I've seen worse.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the John Brooks there is just trying to calm Eze down a little bit. But yeah, from what you were saying before, I think that you just get the feeling that Arsenal have sort of tested the water as to what Brentford are going to be doing this evening, and now perhaps a slight change in terms of formation, perhaps that one substitution, and that could really turn things in the second half.
Yeah, there is the half-time whistle then. Brentford 0, Arsenal 0 at the break at the GTEC Community Stadium. Join us in around 15 minutes for second half coverage.
So it's goalless at the GTEC at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the GTEC at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the GTEC at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the GTEC at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the GTEC at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the GTEC at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the GTEC at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. So it's goalless at the G-Tech at half-time between Brentford and Arsenal. And there's been some good moments for both sides. Brentford enjoyed a 10-minute spell where they had up to 85% possession over Arsenal, really pegging the Gunners back to the edge of their own box, but only really one save from David Raya. That was after a giveaway of possession, then a header coming in from Thiago and a diving save from Raya. At the other end, Keller has been called into action a couple of times, but Arsenal looking stronger towards the end of the half, seeing a lot more attacking possession, but still not really creating the chances. It's 0-0. Well, it's a very warm welcome back to second half independent off-tube studio commentary. Our referee John Brooks has just got the second half underway, and Brentford hoofing it long straight towards the edge of the Arsenal penalty area. It's almost like finding touch in rugby, but it's gone out for a throw to the Gunners here on the right-hand side. And one change for Arsenal at half-time as well, as Martin Odegaard comes on to replace Bere Eze. It does seem to make a bit more sense in terms of that sort of central midfield role. We'll see how that affects what Arsenal want to do, because they're trying to get on the attack here straight away with an early ball down the right-hand side here from Timber, but it's going to be Gyökeres beaten to the ball in the end there by Christopher Ayer. He then goes back towards Keller, who clears it over the line. It's myself, Paul Shabakovic, and Tom Hill taking you through the action. And Tom, we're hoping for more of the same that we saw in patches at the first half. There were little periods where it just went a little bit slow in midfield, but generally both sides were trying to go for it. Yeah,
Brentford's best part of the game was 15 minutes in, wasn't it? Up until that point, they were really troubling Arsenal, forced a save out of David Raya, which you rightly said to me as we broke up for half-time. It's the only save here to come Arsenal, though.
They do, and it's drilled across the 6-yard box. Hincapie coming in from the left-hand side, really laced that ball across the 6-yard box. A lot of pace on it. It just needs that boot from Gyökeres to try and direct it towards goal, but it just eludes the sweep.
Yeah, it's smart defending as well, because Vandenberg digs his heels in and just sort of nudges him. They both plant their feet. And I think Vandenberg's just too strong, Paul. I think if he's a bit weaker in the challenge, maybe Gyökeres can lean over to him, because he's only an inch or two away from the ball. It's just how strong the defender is that he just shuts it down.
Yeah, didn't let him get through to the ball as down the. There's going to be a throw on here to Brentford on the left-hand side. Timber just with a little push there on Lewis Potter just to stop him from taking the throw on quickly, but Brentford are quite happy just to allow Rico Henry to come across. So just to remind you as well of the 2-11s, Kelleher in goal for Brentford, a back four of Coyote, Ayer, Vandenberg and Henry, Yarmoliuk and Yano are the two holding midfielders, with Otara, Jensen and Lewis Potter as a attacking midfield three playing behind Igor Thiago. For Arsenal it is David Raya in goal, then a back four of Timber, Mosquera, Gabriel and Hincapie. Three in midfield of Rice, Zubimendi and now Odegaard, who comes on for Eze, with Madueke, Trossard and Gyökeres as the attacking three. Here come Arsenal again down the right-hand side in their change navy blue kit. It's over towards Madueke. Decent ball, has been completely missed by Coyote. Zubimendi into Gyökeres, tees it up for Trossard. Was there a handball there? Arsenal certainly appealing it now. Brentford clear their lines, and although Thiago will chase it, Raya is there first. He plays the ball straight over, and Hincapi does superbly well to control that one from a height. On the chest, takes it down. It's now played into the box, and a sliding challenge. That's a little bit better from Coyote this time, although his clearance isn't the best. It was meant to be for Yarmoliuk. One back by Hincapi.
Yeah, the ball from Raya, Hincapi, great bit of play all round. I thought everything in the build-up there for Arsenal was good. If it was handball, it's like point-blank range. You can't do anything about it. It'd be so harsh. And they've played on long enough that it makes you feel that this game will be carried on anyway. But yeah, I thought I said in the first half to you a few times, I thought Arsenal playing right were too slow to go pick out Timber and Madueke. They've had a bit of zest here, and again, that's what I said to you in the first half. Getting a team talk might be the best thing that happens to them. They're looking to catch Brentford cold.
They will, and they've already seemed to have got into a bit of a mode now where Brentford have just started to sit deeper and deeper as Arsenal just parks at the edge of the Bees penalty area, with Rice now going square to Mosquera. Over towards Timber, and now Madueke here on the right-hand side. He's up against Rico Henry. It's left footer against left footer. He's got an overlap from the right foot of Timber. His cross is charged down by Henry, out for a throw to Arsenal right by the corner flag.
Yeah, nice and energetic. It's all-round good play. It hits Ayer in the chest anyway. He's no saint. I mean, you're going to appeal, aren't you? But he's never a handball in a trillion years. That play we come back to mention. But yeah, I like the intensity from Arsenal. I think they needed that in the first half. I remember a game. In that game I mentioned earlier against Bournemouth, Bournemouth were all over them, and they're another defensive, aggressive team, arguably more aggressive than Brentford are. But Brentford were having such joy in the first half that Arsenal have had to up the ante, and they have done. Of course, Odegaard does just allow a bit more control, or he should do at least.
Well, he does, and now a ball played into the box. It was Timber trying to turn away from Lewis Potter. Wasn't able to do it. Henry then clears it. It's closed down by Timber. Arsenal are pressing high up the field. They're making it very difficult for Brentford to do anything other than to try and clear their lines, as Keith Andrews there employing the Steve McLaren school of coaching. They're just telling his players to breathe. That was one of those famous sort of memes from McLaren's England era, as Henry now sends a long ball up towards the halfway line off the throw. One back here by Rice, but then it's cleared down the right-hand side by Ayer. It will be chased by Dango Otara, but Hincapi's there first. He goes back towards Raya, and although Igor Thiago is in the vicinity, it's still going to be easy for Raya, not under any real pressure, as Jensen puts some pressure on Mosquera, and then Lewis Potter puts too much pressure there on Timber and brings him down for a free kick.
Yeah, again, Brentford forgot to try and match that intensity, haven't they? They shouldn't be alarmed by this, and then all of a sudden thinking, right, well, we better step off. Arsenal have got a catalogue of changes they could make. I mean, you look at the bench there, Calafiori, Jesus, Saka. You know, they ideally don't want to use them and try and rest them for next week if they can, and get them fresh. But Martinelli has been superb off the bench this year. They can change a game if they need to. But yeah, I didn't mind that from Jensen.
No, absolutely.
Just put your arm in, dig in a little bit, show a bit of fight.
No, absolutely. You've got to try and just get a little bit of an advantage somewhere, because right now Brentford just cannot get hold of the ball as Jensen hooks one clear. It drops to Igor Thiago. It's being well marshalled though by Mosquera. Igor Thiago then using the support of Henry, but Henry was already under pressure when he got that ball, and his pass is blocked off by Mosquera. Arsenal will have it back. In terms of the Arsenal bench, they've still got Calafiori, Gabriel Jesus, Lewis Skelly, Martinelli, Odegaard, Saka and White to choose from, as well as goalkeeper Kepa. So it really is a very, very strong bench. Still plenty of attacking threat on that bench as far as Brentford. They've got Bent, Collins, Damsgaard, Donovan, Furo, Henderson, Hickey, Pinnock and goalkeeper Valdemarson to choose from this evening. Reece Nelson, of course, can't be on the bench for Brentford this evening, as he would be against his parent club. Well, that loan hasn't really worked out. From what I understand, he's more than double. His wages are more than double what anybody else has at Brentford, but he's barely used as a sub off the bench. It's a strange one with Nelson, because he has got the talent, but he just can't quite make it work. And he's been on loan a couple of times.
Yeah,
now,
I was just saying, it's not the first, is it? Yeah, frustrating, really is. I think there's a player in there. Same with Nwaneri. He's gone out on loan. The Arsenal have got a lot of players that they can't fit into the puzzle. They've just got more, established internationals around them, and they'll cash in a little bit. It'll be great for PSR, because with their academy-grown products,
yes,
when they do eventually, if it looks like they're selling them, unless they can go to somewhere like Brentford and make a name for themselves, you've got a chance. But if you can't do that, then
no, it's going to be a difficult one, isn't it? As I say, and Nwaneri probably has a little bit more credit just because he's a slightly younger player, whereas Nelson, wonder what his future's going to be, as say, if it hasn't really worked out from Brentford this season. But his parent club are on the attack now with a long ball here from Trossard. It's well headed though by Rico Henry. Brentford back in possession now with Lewis Potter. He's down the left-hand side over the halfway line. Needs some support though. He's running into a bit of a corner. Oh, he just skips away from Timber. He's still going here, Lewis Potter. It's a pass into Otara. One touch in towards Thiago. Thiago goes for goal, but he was always being blocked by Gabriel. And now Arsenal clear their lines, and it ends up here with Madueke. That is a nailed-on yellow card here for Matthias Jensen. Not entirely sure why Keith Andrews was giving a pat on the back to Madueke there, but as he was standing up. But Brentford captain has absolutely no leg to stand on there.
No, he doesn't, and I think it's a challenge that is needed because it's the wrong player, isn't it? You don't want Madueke to kicking the ball in front of you. You just don't, and I think he's took one for the team. That is a call where you think, yeah, I agree with everything that's happened there. Lewis Potter's made something happen with something off it. Again, Arsenal have been better off just try to take him out earlier, because you don't want him to charge into the box where he is, because everything just unravels a little bit. I said to you as we got to half time, I think a lot of them are scared because the referee set his stall out where any interception or penalty is yellow card. They're scared to put those challenges in.
Well, they are, and Arsenal took a long free kick there. Brentford were a little bit slow to react. Eventually, it's ended up with Nkapie on the left-hand side. He sends a ball into the box, which is too high, too much of a bounce. No Arsenal player can use that one. And now Jensen trying to turn on the ball as he was going out of play. Couldn't manage it though. It's out for a throw to Arsenal, which Declan Rice takes very quickly. Gets it back here from Zubamendi. Arsenal in possession around 40 yards out from Brentford's goal here. Zubamendi now moving the ball across towards Mosquera. He goes square to Gabriel. Odegaard now looking over towards the left-hand side. A bit more space here now for Nkapie. Nkapie out to Trossard, but again he's being well marshalled here by Janelt. Trossard then looks up, finds Rice. He back heels it in towards Odegaard. Odegaard just at the edge of the area, back to Nkapie. He tries to find a bit of extra space. Yarmouth is still on him though. No options for a cross, so Nkapie is forced to back a long way towards Gabriel. He then plays it into Rice, who's been closed down by Janelt, but Rice turns and finds space here for Trossard at the edge there. Trossard pulls the trigger, big deflection off Christopher Ayer out for a corner, but maybe Trossard shouldn't have been allowed to turn in the first place.
Yeah, I just think sometimes Arsenal are taking too long. That pass to Odegaard's on. Before that, the last move they had, Rice is turning the screw up massively. He's driving his team forward. I just think if the Gunners made one more pass, they'd get through Brentford. For some reason, they're not doing it.
Rice now across to take this corner. Getting a nice round of applause there from those travelling Arsenal fans who are in that corner where Rice is now. Plenty of pushing and shoving inside the 6-yard box as well. Gabriel just trying to find a bit of extra space. Kelleher, we know, isn't the most confident keeper off crosses. This one is a really deep cross though. It ends up with Trossard over on the right-hand side. Then it's Madueke going in for a shot. His effort is blocked. Brentford are saying he handballed it. Referee John Brooks is not interested. Madueke still on the ball here at edge of the area. Just loses his balance, but still in possession. Then he plays it down the right-hand side for Trossard. Trossard back to the edge of the area. Odegaard puts it onto his left foot. He then sends a ball in. Good header away by Dango Otara. Kept alive here by Declan Rice just at the edge of the box. He then plays it in towards Timber on the right-hand side. His cross takes a deflection off Trossard rather than actually being a shot. Trossard can't keep it in play. And Brentford will be very happy that goes out for a goal kick.
Yeah, again, I just thought Arsenal were knocking on the wrong sort of doors, doing the wrong sort of things. But I respect what the reason for that is. Brentford are defending really well. They're not allowing any spaces. It's making them second-guess themselves a little bit. Yes, do you feel if Arsenal continue this pressure for the next 35 minutes, they'll buckle? Quite possibly, but I like that. Organise, no panic, get people in the right position, make Arsenal make something really quality come out of nowhere, and that's a sign of a well-organised team.
Absolutely, I think that's what Brentford have to try and maintain, is not to give Arsenal too many freebies in front of goal, because that's always going to be the issue. There's a long clearance here from Kelleher, headed back here by Igor Thiago. Brentford are in possession, but they've been forced back into their back four here now, with Van der Berg closed down by Odegaard. He goes back towards Kelleher. Square now to Van den Berg. Take too long on the ball because Arsenal are slowly drifting forward now as well. More and more players arriving inside the Brentford half. Henry now playing it back towards Van der Berg.
Yeah, one massive difference here in the second half is Odegaard's playing 10. He's directing everyone. He's of course club captain, but in the first half I said to you, if you look where Eze is, he's nowhere near Gyökeres. Odegaard is the one that is guiding everybody. He's pointing, he's like a puppet master, just telling them where to go. Every time Brentford got the ball, somebody was next to them as Brentford conceded a free kick here, which looks soft enough to me. A slap of the hand from Paul, because I think the best two times today that a team's been able to counter-attack, which coincidentally have been Brentford, the game stopped.
Well, no, the frustration for me there is that the referee's taken 5 seconds to give the free kick. Again, going back to the commentary of the game last night, referee Tim Robertson gave a decision in favour of Forest about 10 seconds after the foul, and it was only after he saw the reaction of Sean Dyche. Now, I'm sure he might have been giving himself a little mental replay in his head, but it just looked like it was a home decision, and that to me looked like a decision there where the referee reacted to what Arsenal were doing. But Arsenal on the attack now, ball is cut back to Odegaard, who lifts it over the bar. That is a long way over the bar as well for the Norwegian.
Yeah, Declan Rice, second half, he's a man possessed. He's everything Arsenal are doing on the ball is all about him. He's becoming the second link. But I think Odegaard's introductions allowed him to push because they know that Odegaard can drop. I think he's trying to have like a shot come cross and hope to whip it in. I mean, he's got his execution awfully wrong, but I mean, to score from there, he'd have been asking an awful lot. He's facing like to the corner flag. He's having to whip it with his left foot. I mean, it's not impossible, but even a very good player is asking a lot of themselves.
Yes, I agree. I think that would have been a really big ask to try and get it on target from that kind of range, as the ball now played back towards David Raya. He's been closed down by Igor Thiago. Still enough time, though, to get this ball out towards the right-hand side for Mosquera. Mosquera playing this one back towards Gabriel. Over to the left-hand side here for Hincapié. Cleared now by Trossard up to the halfway line. Declan Rice under a little bit of pressure, having to play this one back towards Mosquera. And Mosquera now over the halfway line. He's got Odegaard just ahead of him, and Odegaard then spots the run of Timber down the right-hand side. The pass is over here.
Yeah, it's a lovely idea. You know, if he plays that with less power, Timber's got a first-time cross. The angle of it is perfect. He just overhit it, and it's a totally different Arsenal. Brentford have not had a sniff since Odegaard's come on the pitch. No need to panic though. You know, there's not. Yes, defensive they're exposed. Oh, sorry, having to do more. I think the one difference would be they're not getting as much counter-attacking joy.
No, that's the problem, isn't it? That now when Brentford are just stopping what Arsenal are doing, they're just pretty much sitting back, waiting for the next attack. And now a long clearance here from Kelleher, and there's actually a free kick given there against Igor Thiago for a bit of a push. It's not too much in that for me, but the referee says there's enough to give Arsenal a free kick there. Mikel Arteta getting some further instructions out to his players. You'll certainly be pleased with the energy levels and the possession in the second half. Whether or not he's happy with the finishing, of course, it's still a lot to be desired as far as Arsenal are concerned. As Gyökeres now getting into a Scandinavian tangle here with Aya, before the ball eventually deflects out for a throw to Arsenal here on the left-hand side. And Trossard is waiting to take it, as we can see Bukayo Saka getting ready to come on.
Yeah, it's a big boost. This didn't play against Leeds the other week. He was injured in the warm-up. He's got a hot water bottle. I've seen everything, but they're under his hamstrings. I'll give him that. You know, a player that does have hamstrings that go on him. You know, he's a flair player. I have seen it all now. I've seen that. But if it works and he gets injury-free, there's a chance. Oh, Madueke scored. It has come from nowhere. Hincapié into Madueke, header across the goal. It looked like it was going to be a routine clearance. Has he been caught off guard, Paul, or is it just a good header?
Well, it's a good header, but Kelleher is so flat-footed for this. I mean, Madueke sort of going down in instalments, but so's the goalkeeper. It'll be very frustrating for Brentford to concede a goal like that. And we'll see from the replay in just a moment exactly how it came to be. But it all starts from just a long ball lobbed into the box, really, from the left-hand side. And, yeah, the frustration for Brentford, frustration for Kelleher. He was already sort of crouching down like he was about to make a save. And then by the time he had to adjust, he just couldn't do it. We'll see here as a long throw is taken. It's comes off Coyote. It's an awful clearance. He should have let it just go out for a corner if he's going to do that. Hincapié's ball into the box. I mean, it's a really good header. Don't get me wrong. It's a very good header from Madueke, but it's not like a bullet header that's flying into the corner. Kelleher should do much better with that for me.
The one thing that is really interesting for me is I think that's his last touch. I think he's getting replaced for Saka here, and he might have managed to keep himself on the pitch. I just think Kelleher's going too far the other way, and he just can't springboard himself going back. A good goalkeeper coach might tell you that he should have been better positioned originally. I just think there's a mixture of errors. Coyote being the first that sort of puts everybody in the back burner. They don't really know what's coming, and then all of a sudden, because you know we're talking about Saka coming on, it quickly pans back to that throw-in, and you're like, oh, they're on the attack. There's nothing here. And then all of a sudden that misclearance and it's over. Within 2 touches it's in.
Yeah, I mean it's a very, very frustrating goal to concede. It's exactly the kind of goal that Brentford were trying to avoid conceding, really just a simple cross and then header towards goal. But that's exactly how Arsenal have now given themselves the lead. And Brentford have won themselves an attacking throw here, level with the edge of the Arsenal penalty area. So No time to waste. Here comes Michael Coyote now to try and launch this ball into the box, and he's got plenty of targets as always to aim for there. Jordan Henderson, one of the Brentford subs, is giving him a nice bit of advice there, as well as this long ball is launched here by Coyote. Raya has come out and palmed it up in the air. He couldn't hold on to it though, and it's cleared out for a corner. Raya saying he was being impeded, but Brentford have the corner.
Yeah, I've just got a natural thing now where I don't think keepers. That's not a foul. Brentford's players just run across him. What's he supposed to do? Never touch him. Referee's got it right.
Referee has got it right. Brentford, can they get it right from this corner? Their set pieces in the first half weren't brilliant. They didn't have too many of them, in fairness. But Raya is now trying to find himself a little bit of space as that 6-yard box really is congested. It's packed with players here as the referee's got plenty to keep his eye on. Jensen's waiting to take the corner. And he floats that ball in towards a 6-yard box. It's headed over by one of the Arsenal players. It was Hincapié, to be precise, out for another corner.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see who it was because there's a melee. I think Gabriel was the one that gave us the game away, didn't he? Because he picked him up and said, well done for your contribution. I mean, Raya's moaning. It isn't going to help his cause because they're not doing anything wrong.
No, and Raya's actually using one of his own players. He's actually pushing Timber or Hincapié out the way. I think that's his way of trying to say that they're being fouled, when actually he's the one just trying to cause a little bit of confusion there for the referee. But it's going to be Jensen now to put this one in. He's put it towards the back post, headed down, but it's wide from Lewis Potter. One of the smallest players on the field, completely unmarked, but he can't get it on target.
Massive chances, Paul. They fall asleep. The Gunners, they allow a couple at the far post. Yes, there's a three-pronged of them. There's a three-prong of them at the far post. They mark the two big boys. They just, I think, naturally just go, he's the smallest. He's not going to head it. He should get it on target.
I mean, not only does he not get it on target, he barely even hits the side netting. He's actually missed that by quite some way in the end there, the former Hull City man. But Arsenal now with the goal kick, they take it short as well. Brentford leaving players further up the field, but now a long clearance here from Ryan. That's a good turn as well from Gyökeres, and he gets away from Aya, but Aya then sticks to his task, and he actually wins that ball back from Victor Gyökeres, and it's cleared now by Kelleher up towards the halfway line, where Janelt takes it down for Brentford over towards Coyote. Coyote under pressure now, playing it back towards Koeman Kelleher. He lifts this ball out towards the left-hand side for Rico Henry. Square now to Yarmoliuk. A long ball from him. It's a good ball as well to pick out Dango Ouattara. Ouattara up against Hincapié, but he tries an early ball into the box himself, and it's picked out. Lewis Potter, but then his header towards Igor Thiago is far too close to David Raya. Easy save there for the Arsenal keeper. From a Brentford keeper, of course. Their promotion keeper, their keeper in the first couple of seasons in the Premier League before making the move to Arsenal. As Arsenal now give the ball away. It wasn't the best ball towards Gyökeres, blocked off here by Aya. Vandenberg now over towards the right-hand side for Coyote. Back in towards Christopher Aya, and he goes towards his own goalkeeper now in Koeman Kelleher. Again, I'm not too happy with Kelleher in terms of that goal. For me, I think he's almost diving too early. That header was savable, and it was a very good header as well from Madueke. Don't get me wrong, but I just think that the goalkeeper, there is an individual error or two in Kelleher. There is in every single footballer, but I think with Kelleher, it's just sometimes that technique of judging the flight of the ball, whether it's from a shot or indeed from a cross, can sometimes let the Irishman down. But here is Rico Henry. Does well to spin away from Madueke. As Tom made the point, Madueke was probably going to get the hook, but now Henry has lost the ball, and Odegaard has got it off him. It's into Declan Rice. Gyökeres must score. It's a great block here. That's superb from Coyote. Well, he was at fault. He was partly at fault for the first goal, but he makes up for it there as Arsenal still on the attack. Madueke into the box. The pass won't reach Odegaard, and Janelt can then clear his lines up to the halfway, where Igor Thiago turns away, and there's no foul there on Mosquera. Igor Thiago up against Gabriel. The angles are tight. Dango's arriving, but here is Igor Thiago. It goes for goal himself. It's saved by Raya, and it's actually Igor Thiago that nods the second ball out for a goal kick.
Yeah, great save. Friendly enough height for him, but the pressure's so intense on this game, of course, for Arsenal's title hopes. He's just got to do his job. The only opportunity that he's had to make a big contribution, David Raya has done it tonight. And
well, at the upper end, Michael Coyote, I mean, he made such an error for the first goal, but the only goal, I should say, but there, he's superb. I mean, basically, Gyökeres is ready to pull the trigger from 6 or 7 yards, and Coyote appears from nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, you are right. he's probably got that extra burst of energy to try and make a big difference after his error earlier. But yeah, really committed defending.
Well, superb there from Gyökeres. A long ball from Raya, taken down from a height there by Gyökeres. He plays it into Odegaard, but his pass doesn't reach its recipient. Brentford clear their lines, and now it's Mosquera playing it all the way back towards David Raya. It's been tracked there by Igor Thiago, but Raya still has enough time to get this ball out towards the left-hand side, where Hincapié is not able to keep that one in play. It's going to be a throw on to Brentford. Interestingly enough, no sign of Bukayo Saka. Tom made the point that he was probably going to be coming on for Madueke, but now Saka is ready to come on, as indeed is Damsgaard for Brentford, and Jordan Henderson as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, giving Madueke a bit longer. You know, massive contribution in the game. Worked hard, been dangerous. Good header as well. You know, that is a header that is not traditional with a normal winger, because you've got to hang yourself in the air for so long. That's a typical striker's header, as Brentford have won the ball back here from a Timber error.
Yeah, Timber's fallen over, lost the ball, and now it's a chance here as Jensen finds Dango Otara, and he gets away. Here is Coyote now getting towards the edge there. It's still Michael Coyote. Coyote goes for goal. And in the end, it's blocked by the diving header of Gabriel, who deflects it out for a corner. But Coyote there, I mean, he's definitely on a mission here now.
Yeah, he is, but I mean, Hincapié should be on a mission as well. There's a 50-50 ball. Go meet him. Go meet him head on. Why do you back out? You know, you could have easily got that ball. Great work from Coyote, by the way, and Gabriel as well, brave. But Hincapié just, for me, bottles that. There's no need for him to stand off. You're allowing a forward-thinking player to attack the ball and run straight at you.
Yeah,
mental.
It's just got to be that little bit braver there. Now, I don't think either side are going to make this change before the corner. We'll just see this set piece out before I hand over to my colleague for the remainder of this game. But it's Brentford with Damsgaard ready to come on, Saka ready to come on for Arsenal, and it is going to be Madueke. Tom absolutely called that correctly, and Arsenal actually making the change before the corner.
Yeah, that's even rarer. But yeah, he hangs up really well. Kelleher's position is what does it. Van der Berg's got his head in his hands as it goes in the back of the net. But they're adding a bit of extra energy off the bench here, Brentford. You know, two midfielders that will hopefully give them a kickstart and a real lift. But you know, Saka's introduction is just as dangerous.
Well, absolutely, it very much is. Brentford are not going to make their change before this corner kick. You'd imagine that the two yellow-carded midfielders, Janelt and Jensen, are going to get the hook. But we'll wait and see what Keith Andrews has in mind. Let's see this corner kick first, though. And it's put in by Jensen towards the near post, flicked up in the air by Gyökeres, back defending his own goal. Then the ball's gone up in the air. Saka gets a foot to it. Jensen, in fact, it's going to be left here by Thiago, so the ball can go out for a throw to Brentford in an attacking position. We're coming up to 70 minutes gone. It is Brentford 0, Arsenal 1. It is Tom to take us through to full time.
Yeah, cheers, Paul. I don't think Brentford are going to make their changes again here either. So Coyote will get the chance to wipe the ball down. A new towel second half. This is an all black number. There was a blue and yellow one in the first half. There's more pushing and shoving going on. I think just had his toes trod on. And he's in a bit of discomfort. He's limping around the box though as Coyote swings it in towards the 6-yard box. Flicked on header and a chance, and it's a goal. And Brentford do have an equaliser, and Lewis Potter's got it at the near post. It's a header from I think it's Aya that's flicked it on. David Riser sitting duck. Lewis Potter heads home.
He does, and Brentford have responded superbly well here. Look at those two subs bouncing, ready to get on the field now. Keith Andrews is happy, and the home fans are happy as well. And you have to say, it's not really been that much from Brentford. Just a little bit of extra pressure, just a little bit of extra pushing forward, a couple of set pieces, and all of a sudden Arsenal now feeling that pressure. It's level in the game. Meanwhile, Odegaard is down injured.
Yeah, Odegaard's in a heap. He's on his, holding his knee. Arteta's rallying the troops as if he thinks this is a goal that should stand. So we see the flick on header. Oh yeah, Odegaard's injured himself, heading trying to clear Lewis Potter. So this will stand. Lewis Potter's gone for it. He's trying to boot him, Odegaard. He doesn't know he's there, and he's kicked him in the side of the ribs. So that's why he's injured. Great header, Lewis Potter.
Great header from
Lewis
Potter. I mean, the flick on from Van der Berg is already superb enough, but Lewis Potter sees that ball and he absolutely angles it into the top corner. Keith Andrews absolutely loving that, leaping on top of Jordan Henderson there. Steady on, coach. He needs to come on the field in a minute. But yeah, that's a worry for Arsenal. Though we know that Odegaard, for how brilliantly technical a player he is, he can be very injury prone.
Yeah, I think it was Van der Berg with the flick on head. I said Aya at the call originally. So yeah, I mean, great throw-in. It's such a weapon, isn't it? I mean, if you were scouting Brentford and you were looking at a fullback and you thought, I'm not sure if Coyote is the answer. The fact he can bring you an extra weapon like this. It is, you know, it's cliche, but it is an extra corner, and it's arguably more dangerous because you get to sometimes put more whip on it and more power. As Yarmulke is off as the first sub. Keith Andrews gives him a big hug, and Lewis Potter's last contribution is to score.
Well, I must admit, I'm surprised. I mean, Brentford have 2 central midfielders on yellow cards. Matthias Jensen very rarely plays a full 90, and yet, for whatever reason, neither of them are getting it. It's the youngest of the midfielders, Jan Molyuk, he's going off, as is Lewis Potter, the goal scorer. Yeah,
Henderson's experience will be important here. He will come on and try, and Odegaard is in some discomfort. They're getting him up now. He's limping, and I mean, it's going to hurt. He's gone full throttle to boot this ball out, and Lewis Potter's got there first. There's no doubt about that he's in some discomfort, and it's legitimate. He's not trying to get this goal ruled out. There's no appeal from him. He's just in agony as he limps his way off the pitch. And the issue is that's his standing left leg. It's the leg that he passes off. Every time you think he's going to be okay, he just grimaces a little bit. So they're telling him to run on the injury. 20 minutes left. Of course, this is massive for the title race. Gives Man City a lift. It helped that City played earlier. Yes, Arsenal have an extra game in midweek due to their cup exploits, and they can then assert more pressure back. But you always want the points on the board. You don't want to have to play and get the points, as Rice goes back to Raya. So it's up to Arsenal now. You'll expect them to unload and really pile the pressure on. It's what they've done all season. Arguably the best sort of second half comeback for them was against Wolves at home, when they looked like they were going to be drawing with the bottom club in the Premier League, and they found a way through. And this is going to be needed to be something similar. Odegaard is making his way back to the bench, and now he's gone back to the touchline. I think he's just getting a drink, and he is making his way back onto the field of play. He's not running 100%, Martin Odegaard. It might be one of those that he's grimacing. He's just put his leg down again and tried to launch off it, and he felt a pinch, but he is staying out there for now. He's the captain, of course. It's the sort of talisman you need. You want your best players on the pitches. The ball goes back to Kelleher, and he's going to curl this ball out towards the left-hand side. It's up to Thiago. Flick on from him. It's picked up by Janelt in midfield. Timber concedes a throw-in, and Keith Andrews will, I think this time, signal that he just wants a quick-fire throw-in, and it's a ball back in by Damsgaard. It's a dangerous one. Gabriel clears it. It's out towards Jensen. Jensen will look for a way through, and it's a nudge in the back by Saka on Henry, but needless really. You're giving another dangerous set-piece team a free kick. It
is, yeah. I mean, as I say, it hasn't taken much really to rattle Arsenal here, has it? Brentford have got an equaliser, and now all of a sudden Arsenal are starting to back off. A pointless foul there from Saka, as you said, just encouraging Brentford to stay in possession now, and now with a chance to launch the ball into the box as well.
Arsenal's set-piece is being discussed. Brentford have got a member of their staff out on the technical area as well, trying to bark out the instructions. So Jensen rolls the ball underneath of the feet for Janelt, who is going to float this ball to the far post. It's towards Nkapie, missed by Gabriel. I think it's on purpose. He backs out. I think he has a little word with Nkapie to give him a bit more of a better shout, as David Raya will try and speed his way along the touch line to get this ball back in play. It's a long time for Arsenal to find a winner. The same can be said for Brentford, though. From these set pieces, naturally you think, oh, they've pegged them back. It's up to Arsenal to go and get a winner. Why can't Brentford go do it? They'll be thinking as Gyökeres gets past Aya. Now he's trying to drive his team on the front foot. Trossard tried to come back for an angle to help him out, as Aya will concede a throw. He's angry. I think he's probably feeling a bit disaggrieved by 2 decent bits of defending that's ended up in an Arsenal throw-in anyway.
Well, it has, yeah. I think, Aya should have done better with the long ball that Gyökeres chased in the first place. That was the mistake that Brentford defender made. After that, it was always going to be difficult to dispossess Gyökeres now after taking the throw in short. Yeah, Nkapie was told by Rice to take the throw in short. Here's Trossard. Gabriel will come up to support. It was an avenue they used quite heavily in the first half. Trossard's pass back to Rice is abysmal. Trossard, to his credit, wins it back. Here is Gabriel. He's looking for a pass out wide to Nkapie, and he'll get it. Nkapie looks for a way through and will play it back to Rice. Gabriel is closest to it and gets it. The Brazilian will drive forward here for Arsenal, gets caught on the ball, can't then dive in, and he tries to just jump in the air and put them off, and it's worked. Rice then plays it forward. Really bad play from Brentford on the counter-attack. Here is Trossard. Rice plays it out to the Belgian. He's looking for a way through. He dinks the cross into the far post. Saka's coming for it. Brentford's defender Henry was too busy trying to play Saka rather than the ball, and Atara cushions it down the line, but Brentford are now struggling with what Arsenal were struggling in the first half. When they're trying to clear it, there's just too many blue shirts. Too many blue shirts, yeah. And now it was almost like Arsenal have flicked a switch, and now they're pressing, and it's now Brentford who are being pegged back. And as you say, there was a half a chance there for Brentford to counter, but the ball given away by Igor Thiago, and Brentford can't get a touch since then.
Yeah, here is Odegaard. And it's played into Gabriel, and it's worked wide to Trossard. Hincapié, he's going to make his way down the line, but he can't pick him out. Gabriel again wants an inside pass centrally to a midfielder. It has to go back to Mosquera. 13 minutes left of regulation time. Here's Rice. Rice misplaced touch, but he just gets away with it. Pokes the ball to Hincapié with pressure from Damsgaard coming. And they get it away just about Arsenal. And back from Gabriel to David Raya. The Gunners have settled a little bit since the goal. I think the set-piece threat was always there for Brentford. Open play threat has been neutralised, I think, on the whole by Odegaard's introduction as Zubimendi flicks the ball on looking for Timber. Brentford get to it. Mosquera's naive and he just chest pumps the Brentford midfielder. I mean, how brainless can you get?
Well,
free kick Brentford,
yeah,
1-1.
I love the way he reacts as well. Like, he can't believe, ref, what have you seen there? How have you got that? I mean, it was a very, very clumsy challenge there from Mosquera. And it's also an excuse now for Brentford to just slow things down for a couple of moments. And actually, the referee helps Matthias Jensen up in the end.
Yeah, he does. It's a frustration for Arsenal. Brentford took a bit of sting out of the game. Of course, a point for the Brentford is an amazing result. Yes, they're at home. They'd want to push, but they try to push against the league leaders. As Martinelli and Calafiori are being told to come on, you would naturally think that's for Hincapié and Trossard. I don't think Trossard's done enough to stay on the pitch. I think he's been relatively low-key. Calafiori might just be a like for Hincapié, who of course has got an assist tonight. The long ball played forward towards Hincapié, headed back by Ayer. It's going to be played back out to the right hand side for Henderson, who steps over the ball. He'll be looking for a corner, swings it in. He might get better here. Damsgaard, that's got to be a handball, surely. As it's played out, it'll be a corner. I thought he handled that, Damsgaard, to knock it back into play, and it is a set piece, Brentford.
I thought he handballed it as well. We'll see from the reverse angle now, Tom, as he controls that. No, I mean, his arm is out, but it never actually touches him.
As he goes down, it somehow avoids his knuckles.
Yeah, but I mean, it was very, very close to being a handball. But
great spot by the ref. Yeah, we've been critical when we needed to be, but that's a good spot, and great Matrix-like reactions from Damsgaard as Janelt comes across for the set piece. The crowd generate a bit of applause for him to try and G him up. Again, Brentford's movement is chaotic, it's confusing. Arsenal for now are trying to stay focused. Rice is again aware of the threat at the back post where Damsgaard and Van der Berg stood. Raya is looking on. Zubimendi's not even facing the ball. His job is to distract Thiago. That is a mismatch if I've ever seen when a 6-foot centre forward against a really small midfielder. Ball played in. Saka backs out of it for some reason. Ball played in. Oh, the chance! And Atara threw himself in the air, but it was just spinning over his head. It was more of a high jump attempt from Atara than a header because he just couldn't generate enough power to get over the ball. But Saka misplaces the clearance. I'm not 100% sure who would be at fault, but it's very difficult for Otara. It's not his fault.
It's always over his head. The effort there from Van der Berg takes a big deflection. Double change now for Arsenal with Gabriel Martinelli coming on here for Leandro Trossard. That much we can confirm. We also see that Hincapié is going off to be replaced by Calafiori.
Yeah, he certainly is, and the Gunners will try and get this extra burst of energy as Raya gets hold of the ball, and he's going to smash this ball forward, and Martinelli is chasing it down. Jokic is trying to turn it around the corner for him, but it doesn't. It goes the other way, and Jensen with a bit of an up and under as a touch finder, as Paul described it in the first half. They did it from the throw-in. 10 minutes left. They'll be happy to pen Arsenal in here. Mikel Arteta looks behind him to ask a few questions of his coaching staff. And he's looking at the clock as well. And there'll be nerves, there'll be confidence, but there'll also be nerves, because that's the issue at the minute. Any slip up, and it goes back to the same old argument. Man City have done so many things well when it comes to winning the titles, when they look like they're under the pump, and every time Arsenal come to do it, they slip up. The questions are always going to be asked until they're answered.
No, that's true. I mean, it's been over 20 years now since Arsenal last won the league, and when you consider how many times they've been close in those 20 years, it is far too long for a club of the size of Arsenal. The fan base, the stadium, the ambition, they do need to win a Premier League. This is the best chance they've ever had. The holders, Liverpool, are having a bit of a reboot, and obviously issues in terms of injuries. Manchester City had a bit of a nightmare start. They're recovering now, which is why Arsenal are under the pressure that they're under. But this is the best chance that the Gunners have had, and there'll be real questions asked if they don't get it done this season.
Yeah, certainly will. Henderson wins the ball and flicks it on a bit of head tennis as Atara goes down the line. Gabriel does well. Oh, it's not a free kick. Gabriel wins the ball. Atara's gone to ground. He's got to be careful on a card, of course, Gabriel. The referee is going to go over him, and he can't book him for this. He can't.
Ooh,
surely
is he
not.
show him a second yellow here? Gabriel is... well, I think he's still trying to argue. The referee has just given a free kick without the yellow card, but let's have a look from this angle here as Dango Otara goes for the ball.
Oh, I tell you
Well, I
what.
tell you what, we were convinced that he actually got a bit of the ball. Now, looking at that replay, I'm not sure that he does.
I tell you what, I'm more than happy again to say that I'm wrong. He doesn't get the ball. From the other angle, it looks like he kicks it. For that reason, he's just got to stop putting your foot out now. That is your biggest reprieve. They're telling him to get away. I think that's an argument of that for me is more of a yellow card than his original. He's a very lucky boy to still be on this pitch as a result of that. It had been the referee's own downfall in the first half for the reason he's being sent off. But once you're on a card, just really, really look after yourself. You know, he gets suspended. It would be, of course, for the cup game rather than Wolves. But it'd be such a big blow to Arsenal for the rest of this game.
Well, no, it really would. And potentially the referee's now realising that some of those yellow cards early in the game might have been a bit too harsh, but it doesn't mean to say that he could just start backing off. That probably was a second yellow by most referees' reckoning, but now a good free kick here for Brentford.
So Gabriel waits for the possession. Thiago lurks in the penalty area, looking for a way to try and open the scoring for his side. We have possession with Janel. There's Jensen over it as well. Brentford have 6 red and white shirts on the 6-yard box, played in by Janel. Raya comes and just gets a hand to it. I think it is Raya's touch. It'll be another corner. He's trying to G up his troops, but yeah, I mean, it's been a lesson in set pieces tonight of how you can trouble a team that are so well organised from them. And of course, so much was said as if they were the only club in England with a set piece coach, but they have been put through their paces tonight of Arsenal. And it's a bit of a feather in the cap for Keith Andrews, of course, who was employed by Thomas Frank to be a set-piece coach.
He was, yeah, absolutely. That's how we ended up at Brentford, and getting the job at the start of this season where nobody really backed him to certainly be doing as well as he has been doing. But his side now with a really good chance from this corner.
So we wait to see the delivery. Raya goes to ground before it's even come in. He's been told to get up to his feet. The referee is going to stop the game. It is no free kick, though. He's letting the game go. Raya, again, is claiming there is something in the build-up wrong here, so we see who's at fault. He skips past Aya.
He's fallen over himself. He's been doing this all game. He's bumping into Yuri and Timber and then falling over, making out that a Brentford player is pushing him. He's generating the falls himself, and he's actually bumping into his own teammates because he can't bump into an opposition player because he's risking giving away a penalty there.
Yeah, I mean, Aya puts his hand on his shirt, but it's not even a grab. It's a dive. Here come the ball into the far post, headed away by Gabriel, pumped back in by Brentford, surely by Henry. Mosquera will try and stop that from happening as Gabriel will clear once more, and he smashes it away. Not the best ball from Henry. Saka being held back a little bit, but not enough for a free kick. He'll jump up for their header, but Brentford do enough to win it back with Jensen, but he's got to get clear here. Mosquera dives in. Big moment this for Brentford because they're under pressure and they've done well. That was a big breakaway opportunity for Arsenal. Mosquera gets it back, and now it's just back to defensive work, and Brentford had committed too many bodies forward. If they lose that there's a 4-on-2.
No, they were basically defending inside the Arsenal half, weren't they, to try and stop that counter-attack, as here comes Dango down the left-hand side. He feels as though he was being held onto there by Timber. He's never going to get a decision for that other than the yellow card for the dissent.
I mean, I think he's got a point. Timber isn't ever trying to play the ball, but I think he doesn't really do enough.
Well, there was less of a pull in the first half than players were getting booked for. So you can understand why Dango.
Well, we said this right from the start, didn't we? That
yeah.
Once he starts giving the first, this game is mad, and that's what he's done. As Utara, he's carded for his comments towards the referee. Timber bowls the ball back to the player in blue of Mosquera. 5 minutes left of regulation time, and Brentford 1, Arsenal 1. As it's thumped long towards Gyökeres. Flick on header was what they wanted. He instead goes back to Saka. He wasn't expecting it, so he goes beyond the ball, and it's out for a Brentford throw, which Henry now has. Mikel Arteta again, he just tried to get his players in the right position, give them the instructions they need to succeed.
Now out here on the left with Rico Henry.
Just looking at the stats there very quickly. I'm looking at the way that this game is being panned out. Brentford we're going to take this, aren't they? But they're not. There's a chance for a different night. They look at this and look at the footage back and go, do you know what, we could have won this. As we'll just break off because Calafiori's played in Martinelli. The Bees have just switched off a split second to allow him to get free. He's going to hang up the ball. No, he goes with a low cross. It's deflected away. When you look at the stats, you look at the corners, the throw-in, the attacks, the shots. They're on different day. They could have beat them.
No, I think so. I think that's certainly true. But And from a Brentford's point of view, if you'd have said to them before the game a 1-1 draw, they probably would have taken that in the dark. Yes, Arsenal could have been got out at times this evening, but also Brentford kept the ball in play. They have, although Arsenal want to throw on. The referee disagrees, and now the Bees clear it with Yano over the top here for Igor Thiago.
Yeah, Mosquera's covered. Thiago's turned inside him. It's amazing play. Striker's running through and goal. What a block by Mosquera. Incredible defending after his error at first. Two brilliant bits of play, either on attack or defence. He might have saved Arsenal's season there. Thiago shakes their head. I mean, I thought it was great striker play, but then you've got to tip the hat and say, well done.
It's superb from Mosquera, but Thiago's taking too long there. He just needs to pull that trigger a little bit quicker. Brentford still in possession.
Yeah, great turn. Here is Atara, hits the legs of Calafiori, who pumps the ball long into the air, and it's going to be played out for a throw. And it is... it's all come about when Arsenal switched off from the throw-in. They thought the throw was going to be given, played to the whistle. But, yeah, David Raya was looking. Thiago was ready to pounce. And... Mosquera.
The timing from Mosquera is absolutely split-second accurate, superb from Christian Mosquera there, because Thiago was all ready to hit that one on target.
Well, if he gets it wrong, he's off. You know, that's the importance of that challenge. As Coyote's lined up a throw-in, Keith Andrews sits down, but it's for a split second. He can't contain his excitement as he goes along. He's got too much height on that one. Martinelli's headed it, but it's not the best clearance. It's a poor header from a winger that you don't want to be heading the ball. It's out to Atara. Jokic is not the man you want to be trying to stop him either, and Atara's put the ball in. David Raya gets a simple catch. It's an avenue they could have exploited that with a better ball. Raya now smashes it downfield looking for Martinelli. Keller has come off his line. He heads it to Henry, as cool as you like from the pair, as Saka gets back, smashed by Coyote, who has shown great fitness levels to not only take the throw-in from right midfield to then get back to left centre-half to clear as Brentford stop attack, but they concede a throw with a minute and a half left, 1-1.
It's a fascinating game, this, it really is, because you just get the feeling that Arsenal still know that the Brentford can be got at with a counter. They can still try and go for this winner, but at the same time, on a different day, Brentford would have already been 2-1 up if Igor Thiago had taken that shot a split second earlier. So it is a fascinating end to the game, and I'm expecting about 5 minutes of added time.
Yeah, but the subs, the Odegaard, I'd even say maybe a little bit more, to be honest, as Mosquera goes back to Raya. It isn't the most convincing of passes. It did take a horrible bounce before it got to him. Raya slips as he goes back into defence, and we see them come forward here, the Gunners, and Raya is going to play this long out towards the left edge, and it's going to be flicked back inside. It's with Calafiori into Gabriel. Gabriel goes back to Raya. Raya's going to look for a way forward, and he curls it out to the left edge. It's a bit of a nudge on Gyökeres, but a smart nudge from Coyote. Not the easiest back pass for Keller to handle, but it's coolly brought down by him. The main thing for Brentford is since the goal, the Gunners have had one or two crosses. That's it. They've totally changed the flow of the game. Have Brentford back in like a 50-50
they have, because you're absolutely right, because I think Arsenal have gone from being in a position where they're 1-0 up to now only being one mistake or one poor pass away from being 2-1 down, and that's why it's sort of tempered their sort of thoughts in terms of going forward, as Aya gives away a free kick which Arsenal take very quickly.
Yeah, they do. I think the referee wanted to book him. He put the whistle to the mouth. Calafiori is now saying he's been brought back by Coyote. Janelt gets it, and because of that, Saka's got drawn in. He came far too close to the touchline. That's going to allow Rico Henry to steam forward for Brentford, and he takes that chance, plays it in behind Timber to Atara. What a pass that is. It's behind Thiago. Declan Rice gets there at the last second, pokes the ball away. He needed to as well, Declan Rice, because there was another Brentford man coming in, and now the former West Ham man's got the energy to now take it down the left wing, but he's played it behind Martinelli. Coyote's got a lazy touch on it, and everyone can breathe. 5 minutes. Paul called it spot on.
Yeah, 5 minutes to play. That is brilliant. I mean, there's been a couple of last-ditch challenges from Arsenal this evening, and you need that if you're going to win the league as well. It's all well and good talking about attacking play and technical play and some of the fantastic passing that Arsenal can string together, but it's that challenge from Mosquera after he made the mistake of letting Thiago go past him, and there, Rice, again, if he's a split second late, either Damsgaard gets his shots away or Rice brings him down for a penalty, but it's neither, because the Arsenal man got there absolutely bang in time and got the ball away. But here come Brentford again. Yeah, the ball in behind. Thiago's got to it. He's asking for offside. Thiago's going to go for goal. Oh, he nearly takes the crossbar out with the effort. Tries to smash it across the surface of the goal. Oh, what an effort that would have been. He looks absolutely shattered as he goes over the hoardings. He's frustrated. He's an awkward player, Thiago, and I say that with respect. He is an awkward player, yes. I mean, I quite like the reaction of that security guard just sat behind the advertising board. Suddenly sees a big footballer just sort of leaning next to him. But, I mean, it really puts his laces through this one, Thiago. It's actually never that close to being on target. Looking at it live, I thought it was just over the bar, but he's actually lifted that quite a little bit. And been a couple of chances for Igor Thiago this evening. We've still got just over 3 minutes to play.
Calafiori into the middle for Odegaard. I was going to say I still feel there's a chance in this, and the issue is for Arsenal. They're coming Brentford's way. They're not coming the other way as Thiago plays the ball off Gabriel, and it's such an effort. What a signing Thiago has been. He's just a mammoth, sort of presence in the final third, isn't he? He doesn't look to be too big. There's bigger strikers out there physically, but he's so effective with his weight. I think Brentford are trying to tell Arsenal to throw him back where they should be. I guess that's why 20 fans have just stood up on their feet, and they've got a point. That was level with the yellow advertisement boarding rather than the one just further in front. Saka gets the faintest of touches to Gyökeres. He turns it forward to Timber. Timber's through on goal. Brentford have fallen asleep. He's got one to beat. He lays it off to the left side. Here's Martinelli. Great save, Kelleher, and it's back out. Brentford will clear. Oh, from two ends of the pitch, we've got a tackle from Mosquera. Kelleher is just important. The game, though, is on a knife edge because now Jenelt's a tap forward to Thiago. He's got Mosquera to beat, who needs to commit here. Mosquera doesn't. Thiago into the penalty area, but he's forced wide. And Mosquera backs him up, and it's out towards Rico Henry. 93 minutes on the clock. They're going to take it back into Jensen. Bit of a beautiful flick pass over the back, and now Mosquera and Henry are going to battle the two number threes. He'll win a goal kick, will Mosquera. A word on that save.
Well, I mean, first of all, what are Brentford doing? How on earth are they playing so high up? They're doing Ange ball in the 92nd minute when they're 1-1 against the potential champions of England. It's kamikaze defending. But then Kelleher, he does really well to recover as quickly as he does, and he smothers that opportunity there. But I mean, Brentford get away with one there. It was Martinelli. He probably doesn't need to take that touch, look up, but Kelleher, he doesn't actually save it with his body. His body's moving over, and it's only his arm that makes the save.
Yeah, I thought he should have hit that first time. I think he catches Kelleher out, and by taking a touch, of course, he narrows the gap he's got to the keeper. If he misses it first time, there'll be people saying he should have took a touch, but once you've seen that in hindsight, Kelleher got the chance to smother him as Rico Henry's gone down here, holding his right knee. And he's also looking at the ankle as well. I think he's twisted it awkwardly in that incident. He's getting a quick energy gel to try and see him out for an extra 40 seconds.
Yeah, well, I mean, Rico Henry did miss an entire season with injury, and he's going to be replaced by a man who missed 2 seasons with injury here, Aaron Hickey. Fantastic for him to be back to some sort of fitness level. He still can't quite break into the team. The trouble for Hickey was that he was pretty much nailed on for being Brentford's right back for many years to come, but then he got 2 years worth of injuries. Coyote's replaced him, and now him and Hickey sort of take it in turns to play as the left back, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think Henry's annoyed he's coming off, but at the end of the day, you've gone down, you've complained of cramp. This game's got to be, they need everybody on 100% to try and stop the league leaders. So Hickey comes on and prepares to take this throw in. There's about a minute left, plus the extra minute I think they'll need for the Henry injury, so maybe go to 96 and a bit in this game. Arteta's trying to bark out instructions again to his players. The throw-in is yet to be taken back on the pitch. Now Hickey does put some air to the ball, and it's going to be another throw-in which Keith Andrews catches to try and just keep alive. Van der Berg gets the man of the match for Brentford. He got the assist for the goal. But
he did. I mean, it's quite a turnaround for Van der Berg, considering I think most Brentford fans would probably have him third or fourth in terms of who the best defenders are at Brentford and best centre-backs. But he's come on a long way in the last month or so as a long ball now played to Dango Otara. Cut out here by Gabriel. Brentford have one more long throw.
Yeah, they do. Keith Andrews tells them where to go. There's no doubt about it. What's happening here? He's going to take a seat, I think, to maybe calm the nerves. They've got one final throw of the dice. Coyote gets the big towel wrapped around the ball. Yeah, I think you'd have said a couple of weeks ago Collins won't start. Is it 3 in a row now he's not been playing?
Yeah.
So, yeah, massive decision from Keith Andrews, but tonight it's paid off. Arteta looks as nervous as anybody inside this G-Tech Unity Stadium. One apiece. This is the last action you'd feel of the game. Unless Arsenal have got enough time to get a counter-attack. Will it matter, though? Will this ball go in? Coyote lobs the ball high. It's underneath it. Several defenders cleared out. Headed back in by Jensen. Awkward for Raya. Oh, what a catch that is from David Raya. They'll now try and slow him down. He's trying to pop the ball free, and he has. Arsenal have seconds remaining. Declan Rice turns inside Jensen too easily, and he goes past another in Henderson. And he can roll it to Timber. Arsenal over halfway, but Brentford have got nearly every defender back behind the ball, and Timber's pass is one of the worst you'll see all evening. Now Jenelt can attack. Arsenal's poor ball has given Brentford a counter-attack with Otara. There's an inside run that he ignores. He'll go for goal instead. It's deflected. Raya tries to keep it in. Has he done so? Oh, he has. David Raya now bowls it again as the whistle, I think, will go. What a game of football that was. The points are shared at the G-Tech Unity Stadium. Brentford deserve every bit of credit they get for competing with the league leaders. Manchester City will raise a glass to that result tonight. Arsenal get a chance to put a dent back in their title charge next week against Wolves. Thank you for joining us.
Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the